All right, we're back. JuddzBudz Budz episode. Oh, it's blurry. 133. I can't think of anything. Oh, and look at that, we're freezing already. This is great. As always, your host. I might not even be on screen right now. I have no idea, but I'm just gonna keep talking. As always, your host Spogsy, in theory, joined by my good buddy, Mr. at State of Hoppy. Hoppy, how you doing?
We're doing okay, and you're still here.
All right, perfect. Well, great. How's your week? Well, how was your weekend? I keep forgetting that we're doing these Monday. Like, I literally forget that it's Monday. So it's like, how's your week been? It's like, well, today.
That's got to be a real kick in the dick to think it's Wednesday night and have it actually be Monday night. Holy shit!
It's been happening every time.
That is a bummer. Weekend was something because we did our first overnight away with the kid. Not awesome.
Oh, it was bad.
To be honest, it shouldn't have been bad. I don't think it would have been if not for the fact. So it was for a wedding out in Madison, and the wedding ceremony hit right when he should have probably been passing out for a nap. Didn't nap, never napped. Back at the hotel wasn't fun, but you live and you learn.
I don't know why that shit. How sensitive just an hour of sleep is for these fucking babies. It's bananas to me still. Dude, I was just yesterday, Sunday. I don't even remember when we dropped these now, but I don't know what day it is, year. I don't know. But yesterday I was up in Maine just to drop off some stuff for my two friends. They're expecting their baby in a week or two, baby, and they're high strung. I was being me, aka an idiot, and they were like, yeah, and I was like, I wonder if I'm just gonna start talking. I have no idea if you're listening. So I don't even remember what I said. I said something ridiculous, and they're like, yeah, no, it's good. I was like, oh, you guys are fucked. This is gonna be great.
Yeah,
but
it's such a blessing.
Yeah, it's great. It's good for you guys. I'm sure it's awesome. I mean, we can just get right into it. This is our.
Can we? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, unless we want to. What did we say last week about Jeremy Swayman? He would end up getting signed in the next few days. Would probably be around anywhere from 8 to 8.5, and it was right there in the middle, 8.25. Shocking. All this could have been avoided. Now people are being more annoyed on Twitter, but that's the end of the story. It's 8 locked up, fine, done, good, and that's it. That's all I care about.
So everything's good in the world of Boston. There's no issues for the Bruins.
Totally. Yeah. No. Yeah. They have been.
Nice.
They've been not a fun watch in the preseason, but that's okay. It's preseason.
Nice.
Is there anything else? Oh, I mean, two things actually, real quick, about the Wild, which I mean, or we could wait till we get to the Central if we want. I guess
we can talk. I mean, if you want to talk about new stuff, we can hammer out some of that right now, and then be more holistic overview. So for those that don't know, somehow from the title of either viewing live or what the titles will inevitably be on podcast, doing the thing, season preview, going through every division like everyone does, giving our guesses. That's all they are, guesses. But let's start with whatever you want to talk about for the Wild then.
Well, the two, honestly, and again, we'll end up revisiting it anyways, but first bit of news, they signed Jesper Wallstedt to a 2-year deal. So just get the fear of an offer sheet next summer out of the way. $2.2 million that kicks in after this year, right? Yeah. So again, buy him time. Again, avoid the offer sheet. And in theory, I think everyone's on the same page that if they didn't have Like if he were to, when he plays, he's going to play games this year. He's probably going to play a decent amount of games this year because he's going to be. They are bringing 3 goalies on the roster.
They are.
We'll see. I mean, if he's like a backup making 2.2 next year, or I mean, who knows? Maybe he overtakes. Well, actually, at this point, who knows what the fuck's going to happen this year with the Wild, the goaltending with Fleury and Gustafsson. We'll see. But either way, I'm just checking, and of course, the first fucking reaction I see is someone bitching about how is he getting $2.2 million already? It's like, well, technically he's not. That kicks in next year, you know. But again, my big thing is you avoid the fear of an offer sheet, which was apparently a pretty legit possibility. So that's great.
I think that's concerning if it's that big of an issue, though, because offer sheets only happen if the player signs it. Like, where are we at that we're worried Wallstedt's going to go do that before talking to the team to renegotiate? I don't know. That seems weird that we're that worried about it, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think for me, you just eliminate that headache altogether.
I like it as a fan. If that's the mentality of the organization, it's like, okay. I don't know if that would necessarily drive any kind of have any influence about the numbers or anything, but I'd imagine just getting the contract signed right now, again, more than anything. And I mean, we'll see again. Who knows what's going to happen this year with Fleury and Gustafsson? Because I mean, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility where one or both of them shits the bed. Wallstedt steps in and they just ride the hot hand. That's a possibility. That's a better reason. If you're afraid that he's going to torch this year and you don't want to have to pay him off of that, that's a good reason to get the deal done right now.
Yeah. So again, there's a few, but the first thing because we talked about this before when those 2 offer sheets happened this summer, it was there's a lot of chat about more offer sheets, and specifically Jesper Wallstedt, which is God damn it, we were so close to just not having everything be about Minnesota. But yeah, I mean, so there's a few things to at least think about with the Wallstedt thing. So again, I'm happy that it's out of the way. It's done for now. You kick the can a couple of years down the road. And ideally, again, he gets a decent amount of games this year. And if he's making 2.2, playing double that in terms of what he's worth, how he plays this year, then that's great.
I'm shocked by the details of the deal, to be honest.
I didn't look at
how is it not a 4x4 with a no move?
I didn't know they had any of. I didn't know that was allowed. I thought it was just the Billy G special, baby, for everybody, including us. But for us, it's $4 that we pay them to not get thrown out of the arena. But
pretty good deal.
The other bit of news here that's kind of annoying. I'm curious to see how it goes. And again, who knows how this fucking team works and how injuries pop up. But Liam Ogren's made the team. That
is not what I thought you were going to go to, but okay. There's another one.
Yeah, there is, but
so what do we know what his status is? Where is he going to play?
I mean, I have no idea, because I think the preseason showed that your 4th line left wing ideally is going to be Jakub Lauko, who's now can be your 4C. And I mean, ideally, Freddie Gaudreau's there, the 4th line, which is a pretty fun 4th line.
Yeah.
And if Boldy's healthy again and he's ready to rock game 1,
dude,
is Ogren really going to be a 13 forward watching the press box? I think it's crazy.
That bothers me, but quick pause button, because you'll love this. So there's clearly a good overlap between the Jakub Lauko interests and the subject matter, or at least the naming convention of Fellowship of the Rink. It's absolutely it is weird and wild at the same time. We're gonna get Faber on the show before him because there is a waiting list for people that want to interview Lauko.
Yeah, baby.
Lauko is more in demand than Faber. That blew my mind.
So this has
It's
happened
awesome.
this has happened a few times where trades have happened between Boston and Minnesota, and there's been times where it's been a player that I like in Boston going to Minnesota, and I'm like, oh great, I don't have to like completely like lose this player. I get to keep watching him all the time. Jakub Lauko is very high at the top of that list for me. Of like,
Oh.
I love that he's now in Minnesota because, like I told you when that trade happened, like his personality is so perfect. And the way that he plays in his role is so perfect for this team. And just like he's already a fan favorite at this point. So I love that now he has a list of people that he's interviewed. And you're going to get Brock Faber before there's less time.
Yeah. Hey, sorry. Lauko's busy, but we can give you this Faber guy. Like, what?
I don't know if you ever heard of him. I don't know if you heard him. He did go to Minnesota though, so you guys might have heard of him too, but
True.
I love that. He is the best. God damn it. So that rules. But
yeah. So
that's the not fun part. I don't know.
I had to.
Yeah. So again, the thing where I'm not really, I mean, I'm not even gonna say upset, I'm just like confused. I guess Russo wrote something about this I haven't read yet. I think he like literally published it an hour or two ago. So
so I'll get to it in a week.
Yeah, I'll get to it next offseason, knowing me. But I'm just confused, I guess, more than anything. I mean, we'll see what happens for the first few games here, but I don't love the idea of Ogre just watching the press box.
Or someone's hurt and they're not telling us. That's the only way that I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But I take more personal issue with the other strange ordeal. Do you know what I'm getting at?
Nope.
Did you see what the blue line depth chart looks like?
Mm-mm.
I don't know if I want to break the news to you. Someone whose name rhymes with Monjero is definitely in. And my boy is out.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm super shocked by that because, I mean, even, again, listening to Russo talk about it, like, even he's pretty firm on the fact that, like, either him getting waived or finding some way of making a trade happen, I guess, is definitely in the cards. I have no idea. Again, I have a feeling there's going to be some really weird moves in the first few weeks of the season. I don't know why, but it's just like, because this roster is so fucking weird. And again, the one that really throws me off the most is the fact that Ogren's probably going to be sitting in the press box for at least a couple of games here to start instead of playing in Iowa, which that's what I have a problem with. But I mean, again, who knows what's going to happen first 2 weeks of the season. If it stays like this, I'm beyond confused, I guess.
Yeah.
But like it can't. If they really are serious about making a playoff, like they can't do this. Some of these decisions are just mind blowing, but whatever. We'll talk about that more when we get to the Central.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can end that. I'm sad.
Mm-hmm.
Chisholm should be the first power play guy, and he's not going to play. Sad. Well, let's jump right into it then. We have the divisional previews here. We'll just go division by division, team by team, and wrap each section with our rankings across. Gotta lead then with yours, Z. Atlantic Division, and if we go alphabetically, I thought about doing it like geographically or some shit, and then I looked at a map. I'm like, there's a lot that are way too close, and I'm not gonna like figure that out. So alphabetically, it is done. Atlantic Division, Boston Bruins. What do the people need to know? I'm gonna lean on you for the most part for this one. I got my opinions, but you know a lot more here than I do.
Yeah. So obviously, at this point, the most critical component of like being able to like throw any kind of prediction about the Boston Bruins was heavily predicated on Jeremy Swayman. He obviously signed yesterday for $8.2 million. So I like in theory, he potentially could even be starting tomorrow for game one. it's in the cards. That's all I know. But I don't think I think it's not likely, but it's certainly possible. Korpisalo was actually pretty decent in the preseason, anyways. Plus, he's not playing behind that wretched Senators defense core. Again, the other two big-time acquisitions were Nikita Zadorov and Elias Lindholm, so their center depth obviously looks significantly better. A couple of guys that we were really hoping would make the team. Fabian Liesel is not going to be in the opening night, starting lineup, obviously, so that's a bummer. But they're going to do what they're going to be a competitive team. They're going to be one of the better teams in the division. I think I landed on them third because even with Zadorov and Lindholm additions, which I think will be good, I still think the other teams have a little bit more firepower, like Toronto and Florida specifically. But another one that I'm very excited to watch is Mark Kastelic. Also came over in the Ullmark trade. He has been an absolute menace in the preseason, where every single time he jumps over the boards, he is just on his absolute worst behavior, trying to fight literally everybody. But again, the keys here are obviously going to be Lindholm in the middle, playing with Pastrnak and Zacha. And then if they can get another big year or another step forward, or actually just another big year from Coyle, but also a guy like Trent Frederick, who had a couple of really nice seasons, playing really good hockey. And we'll see what Max Jones looked like outside of Anaheim, getting a fresh start. But they are the biggest, heaviest team in the NHL, so they decided to just shut everyone up about that, apparently. We'll see if it works at all for them. But yeah, they're still going to be a really good team. It's a ridiculously tight division. And they still have a solid defense. They've got a really good goalie. Korpisalo should be better than he was in Ottawa. That is not what I don't think that's what the pairs are.
Yeah, they're way off on some of this. They don't even have Baby Bergeron in the forward group.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are way off. I'm probably just going to stop showing these, I guess. This is unfortunate. I don't know. For me, though, that's the big thing for them. I love their blue line. I know you are very aware of. I might be the only person that likes Hampus Lindholm in a similar stratosphere as you. But I think the big thing for them is going to be, can either Coyle or Baby Bergeron come through and be a true 2C? And the other one go and be a menace on that 3C spot. I also can't get over the Kastelic number. I just see Torrey Krug and immediately think that he's a small person, which is not the way to do it. What do you think personally, as far as Swayman goes, how long before he's back up to 100%? Whatever the first game is, they throw him in. Do you expect everything to be good, or are you giving him a couple games of grace to get up to the speed of things?
He's historically never he's been hurt a few times and bounced right back when he's come in before. There's obviously no doubt that even though he hasn't been with the team as much, he's been training pretty hard all summer long, obviously. So I don't think it's going to take him a whole lot of time, if any time really whatsoever, to get back up to speed. What he did in the playoffs was legitimately absurd. So obviously that's probably not exactly how well it'll go, but at the same time, that's, to be honest, then when I look at his numbers, I'm actually, you know what, that's kind of just fits with his career. So I don't think he's going to need a whole lot of time again, or if any, really, to get back up to full speed. So what'll be curious to see is just how many games before we see the real discrepancy in the number of starts each guy gets. This is something that Boston hasn't, they're going away from the 1A, 1B thing for the first time in probably 7 years, because even before that it was Tuukka and Halak were 1A, 1B. Tuukka getting a few more games, but they've historically tried to not have either one of them start more than 50, 55. And we'll see what it looks like this year. So we'll see how long it takes for Swayman to really take the reins as the number one and getting several games in a row over Korpisalo. But
you think he'll ever hug Korpisalo?
I'm curious to see what they do. I have no idea. It's not going to be a hug. There's no way. I don't think. but maybe. That'd be ridiculous.
Maybe. But yeah, so your show, you've already given a ranking. Are we doing this? Are we giving a ranking for the team each time we talk about a team, or are we going to go through the rankings at the end?
We can go
You tell
rank to the end. We can do rankings.
Okay. Cool. So there's your Boston Bruins. This is going to be a weird leading the witness type talk, but we've already seen some regular season play from the Buffalo Sabres. What do we think here, Z?
Yeah, not great. Not great, Bob. Yeah, I mean, it really felt, I mean, obviously for the past couple of years, it's been, this is the year that they finally take a major step forward and they kind of fall flat on their face. And realistically, they didn't do a whole lot in the offseason to make you think like that's going to happen. I mean, you're going to ideally, and I hope, because I love the player, I hope A, Bowen Byram stays healthy, and B, can have a big year. They're going to need they're going to need their young D-men like Owen Power, Mattias Samuelsson. Obviously, like, I have no worries about Rasmus Dahlin. He's been legit since he stepped into the NHL. Awesome. Yeah, he's fucking incredible. But they're going to be pretty reliant on those young D to, like, log big minutes and play in, like, legit shutdown roles. Because, again, like, what they add up front, like Zucker, Sam Lafferty.
Don't forget. And McLeod.
Oh, and McLeod. The McLeod thing's interesting.
And not Jeff Skinner.
Right. Losing Jeff Skinner. And then, obviously, again, Devin Levi needs to be at least a league average goalie this year. So, I don't.
Devin Levi. I think UPL is going to be the guy this year.
Yeah, he'll be their starter, but like he's not a guy that you can ask to play legit 65 games.
No, I get that. Okay, fair. The way you said that, and this is me probably assuming too much, like I took that as like Levi's got to be the guy that carries the bag versus he just can't be the problem. Got it.
I think they both need to be like at just like league average to give them some kind of a fighting chance. Again, I just don't like the way that they both
looked good. Like they weren't the problem.
Right.
And granted, can we be real too? Like, yeah, the forwards, pretty much everyone besides the goalies didn't look great. Devils also look pretty fucking good. Like that's got to be factored into this. I think the biggest bummer is JJ Peterka missing some time, because that's a guy that Sabres fans are obsessed with, and for good reason.
He's awesome. Yeah, no, he's had stretches too when he's been playing in the NHL where like he'll go on a little tear. And a guy like Jack Quinn too. They really
that was going to be the next one I was going to say.
Because again, another guy, we've seen it in flashes, but obviously he's still super young. And he's been injured before. Consistency's been hit or miss, but I mean, it's also part of being in Buffalo. And, you know, we'll see what year 2 of Zach Benson looks like. Who was the other one I was going to mention too? God damn it.
Zach Benson needs to be mentioned several times. I also think Tage Thompson, we're going to find out it's kind of like everyone's talking about for the Wild with Phil Gustafsson. Like, is Tage Thompson 2 years ago the real one, or is last year the real one? I lean closer to 2 years ago. Maybe he's not quite on that level, but like the dude can still fucking play and he can rip the puck like nobody. He needs to have a resurgent year, and Jack Quinn, like you mentioned, for me, is going to be a big one to watch here. Like if he can step in and do what he was expected to do when he got drafted, he adds another element to their lineup. I like their roster, barring like their fourth line. Maybe I'm not a huge fan of, but like everything else looks good on paper. We'll find out if Lindy Ruff is the guy for the job.
Yeah, exactly.
Sick hat though, Germany.
Yeah, that was sick, dude. And I'm curious. I hope Yuri Kulich goes off. I love that kid. I think he played in one of those games over there.
Yeah.
I think it's -2, but that's all right. But he's been nasty in the preseason too. But yeah, overall, I think the big thing too is they're in the Atlantic, which is just like, it does not help their odds, obviously.
No, that's the big bummer. And that the team we're going to talk about next, anyone that's listened knows how we both feel, but they're in kind of the same spot. Like, you take the Buffalo Sabres, the Detroit Red Wings, and the Ottawa Senators and throw them into a different division, any one of them could arguably be a playoff team. I just think it's so tough coming out of this division. What do you think about Detroit?
Yeah, I mean, exactly how we've been talking to them for the past however long, dude. Like, I don't believe in it. I mean, the goaltending is ridiculous. Like, Jack Campbell, Ville Husso, Alex Lyon, and Cam Talbot. Like, I mean, they're all on the roster. And I mean, you look at who they bring in, Jeff Petrie. Is that all they brought in the back end? I mean, Hall was 2 years ago. Gustafsson they brought in. He's a decent enough,
positive
guy.
Thing for their blue line is Edvinsson potentially taking a step.
Yeah.
Outside of that, like, him and Seider are the only things that I can even like spin into positives for their blue line. I hate their blue line, and this has all been assembled by Steve Yzerman. I think he's done a horrible job in free agency. I think his drafting has proven time and time again to be good. He's just never gotten high enough in the draft outside of Raymond to really make an impact pick, I don't like it. Blue line sucks. And that is why I am not a big believer in that. You can't be missing both blue line and goaltending. That just doesn't work.
Yeah, and I mean, they didn't do much to like give themselves 4 decent scoring lines. I mean, they bring in Tarasenko, Tyler Mott, who can be like a okay fourth line guy. Sheldon Trees. Like, yeah, they didn't do a ton other than like bring back Patrick Kane and bring in Vladimir Tarasenko. So, if you get a full healthy year of Larkin,
that certainly matters and warrants being discussed. I also think, and this isn't like a shot at him, I think he's a great player. Bottom 4th of the league as far as 1Cs, right? Is that fair, or does that mean?
Yeah, maybe middle of the pack. I mean, like, again,
like, he is a stud dominant 2C. As a 1C, he's fine. He can serve that role, but he's not a game changer there, Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's not like a guy that's going to get you 100 points. He might be able to get, I think he's like a 70, 80 point guy. And again, he's going to have to stay healthy. And I mean, like, that's also just mandatory. If they not even like make the playoffs, like actually take a legit step forward as a team. But like, there's just so many Achilles heels for them. Like, even if, like, let's say, Tarasenko and Patrick Kane have never been healthy, or they start hot. They're both old now. Like, one injury, and that's like 2 massive components of their offense just out the window right there. And I mean, you look at where they're going to be asking for scoring from, guys like JT Compher, Andrew Kopp, who were decent last year. They were okay. But I mean, for a team that's looking to get into the playoffs, they're going to be super reliant on very young defensemen and like Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond.
There's too many spots that are just like what you just said there, though, Z. Like, I look at a ton of spots and it's like, they're okay. Like, they're fine. Yeah. There's a lot of their okays and their fines to go on top of the layer of, again, we do not like the goaltending or the blue line. That's just not a recipe for playoff success in such a deep division. And we'll get into the rankings later, but I almost went full scorched earth on them. I'm just not in on them. But anything else you want to say before we move on to the next one?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not me saying they're bad. Like, I don't think they're a bad hockey team. Like you said, they've got plenty of guys like, yeah, he's a decent player. He's a good NHL player. But in this division, it's tough. I mean, they'll probably beat some of the top teams a few times this year, and they'll be like, oh, look at that, Detroit, like at a statement win or whatever, because they're good. Yeah, it's not like they're going to be like basement dwellers in the league or whatever, but a lot is gonna have to go right for them to be a playoff team. That's how I'll put it.
And again, like we led this off with, if they're in a different division, maybe I'm speaking differently, but in such a deep division, I think every team in this division hits at least 80 points, barring like catastrophic injuries. So that's tough. Like being in the 80s is a solid NHL team. I just don't think it's enough. Yeah. All right, next up, we got the champs. We've got the reigning Stanley Cup champions, Florida Panthers. Obviously, a lot of movement, like there always is with championship teams. Well, usually is with championship teams. The question isn't whether they're good. The question isn't whether we're afraid of them in the playoffs. The question really comes down to how long before they get into gear and actually worry about being good.
Yeah, I mean, we even saw that last year too.
100%.
So what I'll say about them is they're going to be a fucking problem again. This is a legit hockey team. The big losses, realistically, like, was there on the back end there, specifically on the power play, and they bring in similar-ish players, possible like reclamation type project guys. Like I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that Adam Boqvist is gonna like do Brendan Montour numbers, but where he's gonna be helpful for them too is like even when he was in Columbus, which was just god awful hockey team, he was still one of the better transition puck movers around the league. He's been able to like produce some points on like the power play. So he's got some of those traits. And again, the fact that he's going to be like, he's got guys on the back end like Gus Forsling. He's got, a guy like Ekblad still there. He's not going to have to be a go-to guy. You can probably shelter him a little bit. And I mean, he started playing more and more on that top power play unit as the preseason went on too. So I think he's going to be able to fill in and play a role. And then same thing with Nate Schmidt, who kind of feels like that OEL slot where it's like another reclamation project guy. But I really like Nate Schmidt. He's kind of just found himself in a few tough spots, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he also is another, great guy. I actually like that one a lot. And I think he could, again, fill a pretty similar role to OEL. But I mean, this is a team that's built on their stars. They're still there. They're not taking a step back. The big piece of business they need to get done with Sam Reinhart, they got that done. And then even a guy like that they signed from Boston, like Jesper Boqvist is an interesting one too. Fourth line, again, really good at moving the puck. He's fast as fuck. Plays a similar style to them. He can be a prick to play against, even though he's a small guy. But they're going to be very, very good. We'll see how long it takes them to get to top speed, but I don't see them taking any kind of major step backwards at all, and they're going to be a contender once again.
Agreed with the last part. I definitely can see a world where they end up being like the 3 seed from the Atlantic or end up like squeaking into the playoffs and then just tormenting everyone. Like they will be in the playoffs. I just have no idea how to gauge how they're going to come out of the gate. And I think one of the big wild cards for them, what kind of year do we get out of Anton Lundell leading that third line? Because their top 6, sick. Their blue line, scary as always, but they've always managed to get through it. And then what version of Bob do we get? And do we see the Spencer Knight coming out party? Like, is this where that transition and baton passing happens? 2 seasons in a row that Bobrovsky just endured cannot be easy for a guy in his 30s playing goalie. And again, they get to the playoffs, he's ready to go. But how much do they limit his workload? Can Spencer Knight pick it up and run? And beyond Forsling Ekblad, like what's going to happen on this blue line? And again, this is just daily face-off, but like the second pairing right now is loosely labeled as Mikkola and Kulikov. That scares me. I think I'm with you that I think Boqvist could turn into an incredible reclamation project, especially if he gets time on that power play unit. Holy crap. I liked him a lot. I thought he was a great return in that trade going over to Columbus. Things didn't work there for a myriad of reasons. But I'm really unsure of where I see this team finishing in the regular season. I think come postseason, they are the best team in the Atlantic. I'm not worried about it unless we see real concerns from goaltending and blue line, like real big concerns. But I don't know if I expect them to do the thing in the regular season after 2 really long seasons and kind of knowing that they just need to get in and they don't give a shit who they play or if they're home. So it'll be fun to watch that develop. Anything else you want to hit on with these guys?
No, I think that's it. Again, you're not a Florida fan whatsoever, but I really am a big Spencer Knight fan. So be great to see if he can step in and play good hockey again and kind of with all that shit behind him. So
yeah, you cheer for those guys for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
Well, then we move on to the Québécois, the Montreal Canadiens. Going to be interesting to watch them this year, to say the least. Last place in the division last year. Everyone's putting them in last place. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of steps they take.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing them not finish last in the Atlantic.
I was gonna do it, but then it's funny. It's not even about the player, but it's something about the injury and Laine being out for a while that just shook me. It was like a jarring experience. I'm like, wait a minute. I was gonna have Montreal not be in last. I was gonna say that things are gonna work in their favor. Why am I thinking that? I can't do it anymore. So I brought him from 7 back to 8. No more crazy pills.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is a team that's going to be very, very, very good in 3-4 years.
I think 2 years is possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll be competitive probably in 2. We'll see again some of those other young defensemen, not named Lane Hudson and Caden Gooley, come along, but there's just so many young players that are going to be legit NHL players shortly. This year, probably not. Again, the fact that they're also in this division, not great. Patrick Laine getting hurt. Fortunately, doesn't have to get surgery, so that's great news, obviously. But they're in one because they're in the Atlantic. They've got a ton of young talent, and then the guys at Heart Lake, young stars are guys like Yoel Armia, Jake Evans, Brendan Gallagher, Michael Pezzetta, David Savard.
Can we get Gallagher out of Montreal? I need to see him on a playoff team.
I mean, will he make it a full season without getting hurt? That's the thing too. He gets hurt every year because the way he plays is just hair on fire, complete lunatic. He would be a perfect Florida Panther.
No, it's gonna sound like sacrilege. I need him in Boston.
Oh God,
him
never.
And Marchand playing together would be so fun.
Yeah, it would be very funny.
Very funny. I like a lot of their young guys, and I think that some of them are in a spot to take a step. Particularly, you look at how everyone last offseason, right? Going into the regular season, do you know who the player was that came out of everyone's lips first when you asked, who's the guy you're watching this year? The guy that missed everything, Kirby Dach. And I really want to see what he can do coming back. And again, it would have been fun seeing him with Newhook and Laine. I still want to see him go out there and try and do the thing. I think their first line is really, really fun. The balance and everything it brings. But do they get the depth scoring? Do they get anything beyond that first line? And that's going to largely fall on Newhook and Dach. And I don't know what it's going to look like, but it's fascinating to watch. Also sucks that the player that the Montreal Canadiens fans hate so passionately, apparently, in Reinbacher isn't going to be playing. That's a bummer. But they got some fun guys on defense. Mike Matheson is an interesting character. Everyone's talking about Gooley being the guy to watch for a breakout. And then the amount of people that are all over Lane Hudson to be in the Calder discussion, it's an interesting group. And then, of course, Jack Eye just going out there to eviscerate people is what it is. Do I think that they're going to be a playoff team? No, not at all. Is this a team that I think is going to be in the 80-point range? Yeah. Do I think that they're a problem and no one should be taking them lightly when you play them? Yeah. Just not a playoff team yet. But I was very close to putting them up to number 7, which isn't crazy except for the fact that no one else will do it.
Yeah. And like you said, this isn't a team that you're like going to be excited about going into Montreal to play against and like, oh, it's going to be point night tonight. Like, it's not going to be the case. It's going to be another team that they'll get a couple wins off some of the top dogs. Like, they've, again, and Slavkovsky had a really good year last year, earned that big-time contract that I think could potentially look like quite a steal down the line here. So if he takes another step forward, you're looking at like a 60-point guy. Nick Suzuki's incredible. He's so fucking good, such a good two-way center. Cole Caulfield's going to do Cole Caulfield things. And like you said, it would have been really nice to see that second line of Newhook, Doc, and Line A. But, you know, we'll see when we do get that eventually because it's not like he's going to be out the whole season. But, yeah, we talked this before. The Atlantic Division's like the tightest of all the divisions, like from top to bottom. So that's why, for me, they're going to have to be the 8th place team here. And, again, we'll do the full ranking at the end of this, but it's just, they're for a year of not great, but I mean, like a weird situation where like they're gonna get a high draft pick again, and they're gonna have exciting players to watch this season in the NHL.
For sure. Next up, Ottawa Senators. Another one of those teams that's in the mix of like, do they push for a playoff spot? Do they not? We've been talking about them, Buffalo and Detroit, for several years. I'll lead off on this one. I really do feel like it's as simple as they added Ullmark. I believe in them in a way that I haven't before. And the last couple of years, people have all been like, oh yeah, Ottawa's the sneaky pick. I think they're going to make it. I've never believed in them. I have never thought they were a playoff team. This year might be different. Mm-hmm. And I know what you're thinking. It's a completely different team in front of him than in Boston, and that absolutely matters. I still think Ullmark is far and away the best goalie that they've had in a long time, and it's going to make a big difference for this group.
100%. Yep. And I mean, the fact that, and I think Ullmark being there is going to help Anton Forsberg as like the backup not have to be a go-to guy as well. We'll see it. If they hug, that's going to be those games, those Bruins Senators games, they're already a shit show every time they play anyways. But like that'll be a problem. What if Swayman and Ullmark hug at the end of those games still?
No, they'll probably do it at center ice in the warm-up. Yeah. Dude, how much you want to bet that 0.25 on the AAV came because you got freaking Cam Neely coming down and trying to be funny, and like they land on the 8x8 and he pulls the RA goal. It's like, all right, come on, hug it out, bitch. And he's like, too fucking soon. 2 more mil.
Right.
On.
Right. Thank you.
But yeah, I think that the goaltending is in a way better spot than it's ever been. And I'll pass it over to you here, Z, because you are higher than me on this blue line. And I think that there's things to be worked with here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best blue line in the world, but I mean, you got another year of Jake Sanderson probably taking another step forward. Thomas Chabot's can be able to still play like 27 minutes a night and give you some offense there. Nick Jensen was a really, really, really nice add because, again, we talked about this last week. The Chychrun fit just wasn't really there. Nick Jensen fits more of the profile of a defenseman that they need, where there's like probably, significantly less offense than a guy like Chychrun, but a lot more defensive reliability, especially if you pair him with like a Thomas Chabot. But if they can stay more healthy too, like Sanderson, Josh Norris is going to be a big one to watch because every year he plays, he's like ticking at like half a goal per game, and then he gets hurt like every goddamn time. That 1 year with like 35. But he's going to be probably playing with like Amadio and David Perron too if he stays healthy on that third line. So he's going to be getting some decent matchups there, and you're playing with a legit playmaker in Claude Giroux. And then Shane Pinto not missing half the year is going to be huge for them.
I mean, don't speak too soon. You don't know if he's going to go on another gambling spree, but
he's actually just been fucking, yeah.
Getting way better at covering his tracks. No, I think that's the real question for me with this team. Kind of like the Wild, like we've talked about many times. The second line, if they can get a true second line that provides that additional layer of scoring threat, I'm very high on this team. I just don't know what that's going to look like between, is it Pinto or Norris? Who's on the wing between Amadio, Perron, Batherson, Greg? Like, there's a lot of moving parts there. If they can get a solid, established second line and they can stay relatively healthy, I like the outlook for the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, again, so where I land on them too is I still think they're just a tick behind the top teams in this division. But this is, like you said at the beginning, though, this is the best I've felt about the Ottawa Senators entering a season, ever. Well, not ever, obviously, but like given the last couple of years. I think it's definitely a more complete team. And I mean, Tim Stützle is so fucking good. That kid is absolutely incredible.
And
the
Brady
David Perron
needs to play in the playoffs. He needs to.
Yeah, we need him in the playoffs. Like we need air.
But then who's going to drink beers at all Matthews games?
Yeah, I don't know. Matthew.
Walt's triple fisting now.
He's like, God damn it.
Oh, all right. Let's move on then to what I'm going to label as the most polarizing team in the division. And by that, I mean they could finish first place. They could finish towards the bottom. And like neither would really shock me wholeheartedly. Tampa Bay Lightning, Z. I'm torn between like the concern of, like Stamkos leaving. That's bad vibes. Then you got the good vibes of like, okay, Sergachev out. We're going to throw Hedman back into full like power play quarterback offensive responsibilities. You look at their top six and it's pretty much, can the top six get it done? Because the bottom six isn't going to do shit. Like, where do you fall on this team?
Yeah, so like this year was the best I felt about the Senators going into a year. This is the year that I felt the worst about the Tampa Bay Lightning going into the year than I have in a very long time. They've never been this top heavy before, where like obviously the emotional impact of guys like Stamkos and Sergachev leaving. Vasilevsky's going to have a big time bounce back year and be like a top 3 goalie in the league again. I mean, when you like, I pulled up the Athletics like depth chart, like their D is concerning. Like Hedman paired up with Perbix again. Hedman has started to show like the defensive gaps in his game lately than he like more than ever before. Obviously, he's gonna have to play more minutes, which is not great for him. And you're like, hey, Nick Perbix, where they were able to like get him big minutes, that's great. But if he's gonna be playing on your top pair with Victor Hedman, it's still to me like that. If you want to call yourself a contender, that's probably a problem.
Dude, he's not even listed as a player on Daily Faceoff. He is not injured, and he is not one of their 6. I'm very confused.
That's weird.
Yeah, very weird.
And not I mean, we'll see what Ryan McDonough looks like this year. He's getting quite old.
Is it weird for me to say that if they make the playoffs, all the swapping and getting Ryan McDonough and Gensel is like huge. Like those two are guys that you are going to lean on so heavily in the playoffs. But for the regular season, I really don't know if it's the net positive that it yields out to in the playoffs. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd rather have Sergachev and Stamkos regular season. I'd rather have McDonough and Gensel postseason.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I mean, I'll be curious to see what JJ Moser looks like in Tampa Bay. Like
they're saying good things.
Yeah, I mean, he got drafted and stepped right into the NHL on a really bad Coyotes team. Was able to at least kind of hold his head above water for the most part. He played big minutes, like pretty much since he got drafted. I think they took him as like a double overager, maybe, but whatever. But I mean, like the defense at this point, just given how lopsided these minutes are going to be, they concern me. they are very, very, very top heavy. Like their fourth line could be some combination of like Zemgus, Jurgensen's, Jesse Lonen, and like Mitchell Chaffee. Shout out Mitchell Chaffee, Iowa Wild legend. And I mean, we'll see what like Cam Atkinson can do.
He is interesting and geeky too. I think like that third line could be interesting. Yeah. I'm not betting on them being good, but it's interesting. And then having Connor Sherry in your top six, according to Daily Faceoff, also scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I'm losing faith in Daily Faceoff there. I think they're missing the mark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
so again,
it's a wide range of outcomes for this team. Like they could torch, they could suck. And I think in every division, I'm going to pick a team that I just like don't know what the heck they are. That's Tampa for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Like, because it's again, like my big theme here is just how top heavy they are. But like the top part of their top heaviness is insane. They are legit. That top line is a joke. But it's just like it's not a trickle down. It is literally like all of a sudden it's like, oh fuck, we are like literally filling in, like beyond filling in gaps here.
Yeah.
So, and like we saw what happened like last year, Vasilevsky was not Vasilevsky, and their backup is Jonas Johansson, who people never forget. I forget the dude in Buffalo. Oh, I think it was Mike Harrington when he got traded, or when Colorado picked him up on waivers. Word for word, Mike Harrington, who covers the Sabres, said Jonas Johansson is without a doubt the worst NHL goaltender I've ever watched in my life, which was unbelievably ruthless and not necessary at all, yeah. But he's in it. So, yeah, I mean,
that was funny.
Mm-hmm.
All right, last one here. Isha's favorite, Toronto Maple Leafs. They did things. We can say that with certainty. I don't know, man. It's going to sound weird, but like my biggest source of optimism is I think there's an outside chance that they got the goaltending right.
Yeah, I've shifted on them. So in like the past few weeks, I've been like questioning them pretty hard. And then as I look at like the lineup as a whole, like I think Joseph Woll, the problem with having him as your 1A is just the fact that like he has not been able to stay like remotely healthy for a full season, like in years. He's young, but like every year he's had some major injury. And like that one last year was like, it worked out for Boston, but that was ridiculous. That was just like, it's also just so playoff Toronto like misery, but
play on Toronto misery. You know what's going to happen this year, right? This is going to be the year that Chris Tanev self-destructs. Like he's going to take a shot to the ankle in the first 3 games, and he's never going to return.
Yeah, I hope not. I love Chris.
I'm not hoping that. I'm predicting.
No.
Not wishing it. I'm not summoning it. That's just, that's how it works for the Leafs. They finally land that like stalwart defenseman that they've needed, and it'll be the time that he finally breaks. Because somehow he's powered through all of this shit.
Yeah.
I will say my outside theory, if they keep Nyes on the first line with Matthews and Marner all year, it's going to be so fucking fun. And I think Matty Nyes is poised for a big sophomore year. And I'm all about it. I also think second line, Tavares, Nylander, Domi, fun. Bottom 6, I have no idea what to make of. I don't know. No idea.
Well, I think so that, yeah, I mean, we're looking at very different projected lineups, I think.
What are you looking at?
Again, I just pulled up the Athletics so I could just do them all in a row. But I
don't know what they got.
You got Nyes, Matthews, Marner up front. Yep. Second line of Robertson, Tavares, Nylander. They've been going back and forth between playing Nylander at wing or center, which is interesting. Third line of Pacioretty, Domi, McMahon. McMahon got hurt before the playoffs. I think he scored 20 last year, and he is a piece of shit to play against. Like he's a really good player, like a a depth scorer that can play hard minutes and play super hard. So he's going to be a Berube guy too. So I think
Okay, he's not even on daily faceoff. I'm done looking at daily faceoff. It's over. Wow.
And their fourth line, they've got Pontus Holmberg, David Kampf, and Kalle Jarnkrok. So the big thing is, I do think Craig Berube will be okay with having Jarnkrok in their bottom six. Like, that was one thing that Jarnkrok was just too often in their top six last year. Like, it was just happening too much. And he's a good player, but like with this lineup, it makes more sense to have other guys, I think, in the top six over him.
How lazy is the take? Toronto will be better in the postseason with Berube, but there's going to be regular season bumps in the road to get them all playing his way.
I really don't know how much Craig Berube moves the needle outside of a few lineup decisions, like having Jarnkrok, like bottom six guy. That's realistically like it was crazy to me how it was very so. I strongly encourage everybody during the playoffs, always tune in to like Toronto media, like podcasts and shit, because it is so funny. We all might hate the Leafs more than any other team in the league, but there's no one that hates the Leafs more than Toronto Maple Leafs fans. It's incredible. And their own media. It really is great. But it was just crazy to me how like once Berube got hired, like all of a sudden they were going to win the Stanley Cup. Like that was like, I don't know. I mean, again, so like there's still flaws just in like, I can see the defense either being really good. Like Canada's 36. OEL's projected to be on that second pair with McCabe, which is like, I don't know. And like this one has Benoit, who was a decent bottom pair guy last year. With Connor Timmins, I feel bad. Connor Timmins got hurt and has not been able to recover like the last couple of years, but he was a really fucking good young right shot D-man. But I think this is the year that they have like decent goaltending if Joseph Woll can stay healthy. That's the big question realistically is Woll going to stay healthy?
I think Stolarz can play almost half the games too if it comes to that, but
he's been good
for me. And maybe this is a lazy take too. I haven't seen anyone else outright say it, but OEL, good in Arizona, bad in Vancouver, good in Florida, moves on to Toronto. What's the similarities? Being in markets that don't care and there's no heat versus being in markets where you're under a magnifying glass. I don't know if him being in Toronto is the best location.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was good last year, like no doubt, but Toronto's showing a little bit more confidence in him than maybe I would. That's all.
Yeah. So for me, this is one of possibly the best team in the division. They've got legit players up and down the lineup. As always, defense will be a big question, and goaltending should be good, assuming health. That's like, which you can't assume really. Like you can't like put like confidence into them staying fully healthy all year long.
Oh, that's fair. Okay, well let's do it then. Let's run it. Do you want to do top to bottom or bottom to top? 1 to 8, 8 to 1.
We can go 1 to 8.
All right. Who's your one?
I think I landed on Florida.
All right. My one is Boston.
All right. 2, I went Toronto.
2, I also went Toronto.
3, Boston.
3, Florida. So we just flipped those around.
4, Tampa.
4, Tampa, but I grit my teeth as I do it.
5, Ottawa.
All right. You are with me. 5, Ottawa.
6, Buffalo. I think
6, Buffalo.
7, Detroit. 8, Montreal.
I almost went 7, Montreal, 8, Detroit. I'm going 7, Detroit, 8, Montreal. Thanks, Line. Yeah, for me, with Boston, just looking at the team compared to last year, I just think Lindholm going to the 1C, pushing everyone down, moving Zacha to the wing. Like, the goaltending and blue line is what it is. I'm not worried there. I think the forward group is just going to be that much better off having him there. I think it's a huge get. And I think him and Pasta and Zacha could have a lot of fun this year.
Yeah.
All right. Quick break. Word from some of our new friends. over at 9 Mile Brewing, and then we'll jump right back in with the Metropolitan Division. All right, Atlantic Division down, Metropolitan Division ready to go. We start going alphabetically because, again, the whole geographic thing was going to be a nightmare and probably give me further CTE than what I already have. First team up, Carolina Hurricanes. They didn't do anything this offseason, so not much to talk about.
Yeah. They're going to be fucking good, man. They're going to be really good.
They are. But it's like everyone thinks the sky is falling with them. They lost some notable guys, don't get me wrong. But, like, this is still the same team by and large.
Yeah. And some of the additions they made I really liked. But one of the big things that's going to, I think, my biggest thing is Svechnikov is healthy to start the year.
100% agree. If he stays healthy this year, he alone is the game changer for this group. 100%. Like he was top 3 things on my list for why I am not as down on them as everyone else.
Yeah.
Nate's is already ready to come out and prove himself as well. I like that.
Yeah, so guys like, again, Svechnikov being healthy, Nate is going to be ideally given a bigger role this year, and he is going to be playing for that contract, obviously. So what did he sign for? Was it
2 years?
Whatever. I think, yeah, 2 year, right?
2 years, 6-ish.
And then another step forward from a kid like Seth Jarvis, who was just ridiculous.
Fun.
But those 3 players right there are going to add even more oomph than they already had before. Just, again, they're young. They take another step forward. Svechnikov's healthy. I'll be curious to see what role Kotkaniemi gets here, because I think Jordan Staal is just never going to age. He's just going to be legit, like, Selke-esque player forever. He's a machine.
He's a horse. Incredible. Like whenever you see those Super Bowl commercials where Budweiser, like, it's required. There's like something they signed decades ago that says you will have a Clydesdale commercial during the Super Bowl. Jordan Staal is one of those horses.
Yeah, it's incredible, dude. And then, but, like, I don't know why, but Jack Roslovic just feels like a hurricane. I don't know what it is. He's got, like, ridiculous skill. He's going to get a decent role here, and I think he might have a pretty decent year for them. But I like the William Carrier addition, too, for your bottom 6. He plays he's like a Brindamore type player for sure. Same thing with, like, Eric Robinson, could be pretty interesting on the 4th line.
You think Neto's going to get into the lineup?
I don't know.
I still think it's really weird that they signed him. I wanted to see him go back and play another year of college hockey. Yeah.
See what Tyson Jost looks like there too. Also a guy that kind of feels like he should be there. I don't know what it is. But and then the back end though, Sean Walker, he's so good.
He's the guy I was gonna say belongs as a Hurricane. So
yeah, he is just an awesome fucking defenseman. So I think that was a very, very, very nice signing for them.
Ghost Bear Pig.
Ghost Bear Pig. Yep, exactly. And then Kochetkov, we'll see. I mean, he's shown that he can be really good, and then he's had lapses where it's not been great, and we'll see if Anderson stays healthy.
See, I think that, like, Freddie Anderson is the goalie that's been, like, underappreciated for the entirety of his career. Like, he continues to be an above average goalie. He's never going to be, like, in the, Vezina discussion, but he's never going to be a bad goalie. Can he stay healthy? That's a valid question. But, like, Toronto was wrong to move off him. People that shit on him in Carolina, I don't get. But him and Kochetkov, like, one of them will work out. And again, this is still a Rod Brindamore coach team. They're going to be good in the regular season. They're a disciplined team that doesn't have any major holes. They will be good. Now, come playoffs, what do they look like? Don't know. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking regular season. I'm still a big believer in the Carolina Hurricanes. It's one of those things, too, where like I feel like the last couple of years they've been kind of the darling pick. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, they're going to be in the Cup final. Now no one's going to be talking about them. This is the year they're going to do it.
Right, yeah.
Like, that's how it works, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's move on then to opposite end of the spectrum, I guess, when it comes to this division. We got the Columbus Blue Jackets. Going to be a tough year. Obviously, tough both on the ice and emotionally with the, again, unnecessary tragedy, very easily avoidable tragedy for Johnny Gaudreau. But I don't know, Z. Are they the worst team in the division? Probably. Are they as bad as everyone's saying? I don't know. I don't know. And it's going to sound dumb to say this is the reason, but Dean Evason, which, by the way, anyone listening to this on podcast, it's probably already out by now. Those of you that are watching live, Tuesday, we drop the Dean Evason interview on Fellowship with a Rink. Go check it out. He's an absolute beauty. It was a lot of fun. Dude, you saw what he did with mediocre Wild teams. He got them to 100 points. Is he going to do that with Columbus? Fuck no. But could he get them some wins that otherwise wouldn't be had? Maybe. They're frisky, but they're not a playoff team, so I'm not going to argue for that.
Yeah, and I mean, they've got some young players there that, again, they should be taking another step forward. Kirill Marchenko's been awesome since he came over from the KHL. I think he'll be really good again. We'll see how much rope Kent Johnson gets this year, because like he's obviously a fucking incredible player. We've seen flashes of him showing how good he is. Just long streaks of like inconsistencies. And then Adam Fantilli, like, will he take another step forward? He, again, same thing. Like, we saw a few games last year where he really looked like that second, third overall pick, depending on where you put him in your rankings. But they've got some young players, obviously, again, that they're going to be ideally taking a step forward. We'll see what happens with Dean Evason. Again, this is like the mold of a team that Dean Evason likes to coach, I feel like, anyways. So I don't think they're going to be as bad as they were last year. They also, again, like they had another year last year where everybody got hurt again. So like, can Zach Werenski stay healthy? Big question mark there, obviously. But
I'm with you, though.
I still think they're last in the division, though, for sure.
Sure, but I think you nailed it there where like last year was not truly indicative of where that team was at.
Right.
They were better than the fourth worst team. And granted, they've lost things. Things have changed. Guys are going to take steps, whatever. They're not the like obvious first overall pick next year like everyone is firmly labeling them. Right. But yeah, they're probably the worst in the division. But I don't think that they're like a 70-point team either.
Yeah, so, and as Urban just put in the comments too, they've got two pretty big injuries to start off the year now too. Boone Jenner just got hurt, and then Dmitry Voronkov also got hurt. I think like in the same practice, but I mean, Sean Monahan's there. JVR they bring in. Thank God. And I mean, I really like Jordan Harris, young D-man.
Actually, don't know who that is.
And then David Jurasek, what's it going to be? Like, what is he going to look like this year? I think ideally he gets way more minutes, obviously.
Damon Hunt and Freddie Gaudreau both go to Columbus.
Yeah, there you go. They've got a big problem in net too. So, yeah, again in this division probably going to be like a eighth for both of us, but.
It won't be awesome. Yeah,
it'll be different than last year. Still, I feel.
No, fair. All right, then we go to the other end of the overseas games. New Jersey Devils. This is definitely this year's darling team, right? Everyone, oh yeah, this is the team that makes it back in the playoffs. Well, bold fucking prediction when everyone thought they were like the number 2 team in the division last year. And oh wait, they filled the only real hole they had and added elsewhere. No fucking shit, the New Jersey Devils are going to be good.
Yeah, no, they're going to be legit.
They have a Hall of Famer.
I mean, that automatically makes them the best team in the league, obviously. I don't know. My big question is still going to be how much of a difference can Markstrom really be? Because, I mean, again, he's another goalie we've seen be, like, really good, one of the best goalies in the league. Then the next year, he looks average to below average.
If
he's playing in front of a very good D4.
That's enough.
Yeah. And I mean, again, the big thing too, Dougie Hamilton's healthy to start the year, I think.
Maybe.
And Brett Pesce was a real nice signing for them too, in that middle pair there.
Yeah, when him and Hughes get healthy.
Another step. Luke Hughes taking another step. Brendan Dillon, same thing. Really nice addition for their third pair there to play with Simon Nemeth, who ideally takes another step forward as well.
Seamus Casey's
there's a really well built roster. I mean, also Paul Cotter fucking rules. He's a good hockey player, man. He has always been very, like, when Vegas was going through injuries and still like getting some points on the board, a lot of that was like Paul Cotter was the guy that would elevate into like middle to top 6, and he would put up some decent points. He's got skill. He's big. He plays hard. I like him a lot. So that's a nice third line addition. And again, the Hall of Famer, baby.
Hall of Famer, baby. Yeah, so not a lot of time needs to be spent here. Both high on this team. We can move on to one that's way more interesting. And, Z, this is going to be so fun. Remember that contract that we both thought was such a good decision from Lou Lamoriello and definitely didn't catch us off guard at all? Yeah. For one Pierre Engvall? Did he just get fucking waived in year 2 of that deal? Are you fucking kidding me, Lou?
Yeah, it sounds right.
I feel horrible for the player, but dear Lord, like, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, Lou. What is going on?
You know what's crazy is the last, like, year or two, the NHL has just been, I feel like it's actually been, in terms of, like, news and shit that's going on, it's just getting more and more exciting. I already forgot that they fucking hired Patrick Waugh last year. I forgot that he was. I already forgot that he was their coach.
Right.
I just think they're an average hockey team.
Just so you know, they have Bo Horvat as well.
Yes, they do. I did remember that one.
They did do something fun. They did one fun thing. They never do fun
like
things.
The Duclair signing was
fun thing.
That's
awesome.
Fun. And I mean, like the Siplikov kid, who's like I think top 10 for like Calder odds. He's gonna be one to watch too. He's probably gonna be second line left wing potentially.
Where did he play last year?
I don't even remember. Not here. Not in the NHL. I don't think he played in the NHL. But they're gonna be a pain in the ass to play against because it's the Islanders. Sorokin has to be so much fucking better.
Dude, he disappointed. You know, like, I might be the highest person on Sorokin, and last year he just shit the bed.
Yeah, it was bad. Again, on the back end, Noah Dobson's fucking awesome. Pelech, Pulak shoots the puck a million miles.
Pelech-Pulak pairing might be one of my favorite pairings in the league.
It's just like
between the names, between how efficient they are, like they just are the perfect second pairing for a blue line.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think they're a very middle of the pack hockey team. They're gonna.
They will not bottom out. They will not win the division. They'll be right on the fringe of like the 3, 4, 5 spot for the division, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Pretty uninspiring, boring, but thank you, Lou, for giving us the laughs with the Engvall contract. That, wow, at least there's only 6 more years.
Yeah, thank God.
All right. Next up, then, we've got the Fugazis. We've got the New York Rangers. You know my negativity towards them, generally speaking. Obviously, like, look at the roster. It's a good team. I'll come out and say it. They're not my number 1 team in the division this year. But they're also a no-shit playoff team. So, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts. Maybe you should go first.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, one of the best teams in the division. I still have a lot of question marks in certain parts of the line. For me, the biggest wild card is going to be, is Alexis Lafreniere, is he going to do it this year? Where he, towards the end of last season, really started to pop off, looked really good in the playoffs, looks more confident. He had some fuck you in his game too. I mean, he always has, but he, like, when he plays with that confidence, that comes out more too. I mean, we'll see what Riley Smith gives them in terms of their additions. Another guy that we'd have to keep an eye on is Capo Caco. Could he at least take a step forward? I don't know. Can Filipino stay healthy? Filipino staying healthy is going to be a big pivot for them too.
If I have to say something nice about the New York Rangers, it's that if Filipino stays healthy, like, he's among the best third-line players in the league. Like, he is so good. I like him so much, and him being out last year, while I don't want anyone to be hurt, I was not upset that Hedl wasn't playing for the Rangers.
Yeah.
And Jacob Trouba's a horrible captain. So, and person. I'm sorry, I couldn't know what's up. I still think that it's ridiculous that people, like, sided with him and said he's exercising his contractual rights. No, he's fucking not. No, he's not. But it sounds like they've come to an agreement that, like, this is the last year. Like, he understands that he's not going to be a Ranger after this season.
Which is crazy. But
yeah. So that is that, like, are they playing for him, or is it like a weird riff all year that the team can't improve or do certain things because Trouba basically took the team hostage and said, you can trade me, but I won't report. So fuck you. He basically chicken wing Drury.
Everyone can get it, bro. Like, everyone is on the track.
So,
dude.
You want to hear my, like, vibes reason why I'm not as high on the Rangers as everybody else? It's gonna sound dumb, but I wholeheartedly believe this in my soul. They had ridiculous years from both Shesterkin and Quick that I don't think are replicable. I think Shesterkin's the real deal, and he's a great goalie. Goalies are voodoo, and it's pretty rare that you see a goalie go back-to-back years, even being in the Vezina discussion, let alone being a freak of nature like Shesterkin was last year. And then you've got Quick, who, like, somehow is defying the test of time. I just don't think they're going to get the same level of goaltending they did last year. It's still going to be good. I just don't think it's as freakishly good. You're going to hear me say the same thing when we get into the Jets with Hellebuck. He's still a great goalie. Is he going to be out of his mind like last year? History tells me no. So they'll be good enough. They're just not going to be, like, complete nonsense world beaters like last season. That is my opinion based on my brain stats.
Yeah, I think they'll actually get pretty similar between the two of them. I think the numbers will pan out to be similar. Like, Shesterkin got off to a slow start. Quick came in and legitimately kept them as one of the better teams in the NHL.
So good. And
then the All-Star break happened, and then Shesterkin came back and was just a god again. So I don't see him getting off to the rocky start like he did last year. And I mean, I think at one point he was, like, letting in like 4.5 per game on average, and then he'd like an 890 before, like, the All-Star break, January anyways. But again, then the All-Star break happened. Shesterkin came back and was lights out, and Jonathan Quick was, like, at least league average again. So I think it comes out in the wash. I don't think it's going to take the same, like I just don't see Shesterkin getting off to that slow start. But at the end of the day, I kind of actually see the goaltending numbers between the two of them probably looking pretty similar because Quick's ideally, barring injury, probably not going to get the same kind of load.
I think this is the first one we've really strongly disagreed on, which is good. Also, just they're not quite there. They're right on the cusp for me, but a lot of their best players are close to aging out, right? A lot of their big dogs are early 30s in the forward group. And I don't think that you fall off the cliff quite yet, but it's where we kind of put them on watch. When are you going to start to show signs of decay or slow up a little bit? I think this year, a lot of them are probably safe, but if one of those guys does regress, maybe that holds them back a little bit too. But nitpicking, they're a good team. I hate them. They're a good team, but I have reasons to not be as high on them as the rest of the world who everyone's saying they're going to win the division, and you probably will too. And I understand, but I don't agree. Sweet. Moving on to the only team that I dislike at a similar level, the scumbags of Philadelphia. Although I love Torts, so put that on the shelf. Philadelphia Flyers were the most surprising team for the first half of the season, and then their implosion was, for me, fun to watch. A lot of interesting moving parts, and of course, you're always going to be on your toes with a guy like Torts. What are they? Are they the team from the beginning of the season, from the end of the season, or do you see them in a completely different light than either?
Yeah, I think they're not quite as bad. I mean, we also forget they almost still made the playoffs, despite Torts not wanting them to make the playoffs and be no, we're selling everybody. We don't care. But for me, the big question is going to be, can Matvei Michkov actually just step right in? First of all, not get scratched every other game, and then give them enough of an offensive push to be a competitive playoff team. I don't think it's going to happen. I have them pretty low here. But they still have a couple really good players. Obviously, Owen Tippett went off last year. He looks really good. Mm-hmm. Expected to continue scoring goals.
What do you think of that connecting contract?
What was the actual number?
7 something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Upper 7, I thought. Good. Let me find it.
Really good.
I like him. He's just, I don't know. He's right on the fringe for me of is he the guy or not?
I think he's a really good player. He's probably just under a point per game guy, and he affects the game every time he jumps on the ice. So I don't have a problem giving him a long term. But he's also less than.
No, I lied. He got 8.75.
Okay, you got 8.75.
That's a lot. That's too much for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I still look at him as a top line winger. He can be a 30 goal. He can be a 30-40 guy. So I don't have that big of a problem with it.
Okay, what?
It's a little bit much for me, but I'm not
I'm not saying it's egregious. It's not horrible, but that's more than I'd be comfortable with.
Yeah.
If it was my team, I don't want to give him that much money.
Right. Yeah.
So that it's objective and I'm not just shitting on Philly. They're interesting, man. I don't get a lot of reason to believe in their blue line. I do think that the one thing that popped last year for me, Sammy Erson played great.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's replicable, but he played great.
So that's the thing. I don't know how replicable that is.
But if him and Fedotov are splitting the load 50-50 and he doesn't have to carry the whole bag, that's interesting to me. And after Wild fans shit so aggressively on the Flyers for trading back and then reaching for Jet Luchenko, dude's on the fucking team.
I love Jet Luchenko, man. He's awesome. I'm happy.
I loved him until he was drafted by Philly.
Yeah. Should he be playing the NHL? I don't know. But
a little weird.
Torts is going to fucking love him. He is a Torts guy. He is a really good player. He's got a nonstop motor. He's very fun to watch. On this roster, he's going to be in one a little bit. Because, again, like I said, I'm pretty low in terms of them in this division anyways. But they've got a couple interesting pieces. But, like, if they really are somehow going to make a push to be a potential playoff team somehow, which, again, I think it's a big-time stretch, like, Matvei Michkov, again, like, can't get scratched. We'll have to just,
I was just going to ask, what's the over-under for how many games before he gets scratched?
Same thing, like, I'll be curious to see what Morgan Frost looks like this year, too. Like, he's another guy that was catching the wrath of, like, the random scratches from Torts, too.
Well, and, dude, Farabee and Brink are both interesting guys, too. Like, there's a lot of intrigue on the roster, but I think even if everything hits, they're, like, at best a fringe playoff team.
It's a very weird collective of players.
That's for sure. But, dude, they changed their shade of orange by, like, 2%. So, completely different culture and environment. Totally different brand.
Could be different.
All right, dude. Now it's the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I'm going to let you go. Just go off.
I'm just not excited. This is a team that, I don't know, last year should have been a playoff team. Sidney Crosby had a Hart Trophy caliber season, and they still missed the playoffs in a dog shit race. Like, they got beat by the Capitals, who had like a negative 7,000 goal differential. They haven't changed enough to inspire confidence. Do I like some of the moves? Like, sure. Do they move the needle a ton? No. I believe in Crosby. I believe in Malkin. The rest of it is weird. I do really like that Bunting came back as part of the Gensel trade. Like, I actually think he fit in really well down the stretch, and it's going to be fun to watch him this year. McGroarty, who knows, could work out. I still think that if he's not in your top 9 at a minimum by the end of October, the trade didn't make sense. The blue line, I don't know. I like parts of it. None of it really inspires like strong hope, but it's going to be interesting to watch. Their power play can't possibly be as bad as it was last year. And now, of course, Nedeljkovic is already hurt to start the year, so it's pretty much Tristan Jarry, and we'll see what Joel Blomqvist can do. Like, it's another team that's not going to bottom out. They're not going to wow. They could fight for a like wild card, or they could be the 3 seed in the division. I have them missing the playoffs, and this is the first time that I've ever like said that in the Crosby era. Like, I don't think this is a playoff team, but if things pan out the right way and they get some of the right looks early on and everyone's healthy, like, sure, they can do it. They're not a bad team. They're just not a very exciting team.
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, the two things that I look at is, you know, if you want to look at, like, if you want to take the positive approach, it's always hard for me to bet against Sidney Crosby. I think it's just, you never do that, obviously. And I have a feeling that he's not going to take a step backwards. He's probably going to be the same player yet again.
I just don't see him taking a step forward. Like, there is no
I don't know how he could.
Right.
So he's like, that will always get you a certain amount of wins, just him being Sidney Crosby. And the thing with them too is, like, the fucking power play has, like, it can't be worse. Like, it legitimately couldn't be worse.
Do you think Quinn coming in is enough?
I don't know, but like, it literally can't be worse than it was.
Him and Sullivan on the bench together is a really fun dynamic to think about, though.
That's me. They're going to be chirping each other half the game anyway. That's going to be just the two Boston guys back, like, well, fuck yourself. Fuck you.
Who's going to park the car?
Fucking park it. But yeah, I mean, again, they're not.
My wild card. Can Cody Glass be okay?
I would love that. That's a guy I'm rooting for.
I hope for him.
I also keep forgetting that Lars Eller's in the league still.
Oh yeah,
just keep forgetting about that.
Dubas wouldn't forget.
But I want to see what McGroarty, what role he gets, because he's really, really good. And I think he's going to be. I think he could potentially add, not necessarily maybe like a huge difference maker all season long.
Depth. I think third line is his home.
And like he gives you something that they didn't really have a whole lot of in terms of just like youthful like skill and like.
I mean, guys under 30.
Yeah, literally guys under 30 years old.
It's too bad.
My boy Matty Grizzlick, I hope he stays healthy because he's still it just never worked at the end there in Boston with how
I've had to preach the good word against a lot of the people that cover the Penguins. I'm like, is he like a game changer? No. Is he a very serviceable top 6 defenseman? Yes, he is.
2 years ago when the Bruins choked against the Panthers and lost that after being up 3-1 in the series, he was still getting scratched a couple games in the playoffs, but he was literally the only defenseman on that hockey team that could get the puck and transition it out of their own zone. Every single other defenseman was like less than 50% success rate. Like he is a transition machine. Like that's just what he does. He's an absolute escape artist with the puck. He is really good at moving puck as long as he stays healthy and he gets good minutes. I hope he gets a good run because it's tough when he's like getting scratched one game, back in one, getting scratched for 2. And I mean, on this team, he should be probably on their second pair anyways.
Probably has to be first then because their second pair is pretty cemented.
Oh, right.
All right, man. Now we come to my Tampa Bay Lightning of the Metro. The team that has, like, I have no freaking clue how this assembly of players is going to work out. I'm personally lower on them, but, like, there's absolutely a world where they finish at the bottom of the division or end up the 2 seed. Like, I don't know. The Washington Capitals have the weirdest assembly of players I think that I've seen in the past, like, decade, just as far as, like, if you went from last year, didn't pay any attention in the offseason, and then pulled up a roster today, you'd be like, the fuck?
One of the more fascinating retools or attempts at a retool over the summer that we've seen in a while, where it's like...
This isn't even like a retool. This is a refuel and just make sure there's something there so that Ovechkin can keep chasing. That's all it is.
Because, like, I said this before, I like a bunch of the moves that they made, including, like, even the big contract to Matt Waugh. Like, again, I think he's, like, a quiet defenseman, but he's very good. Like, transition-wise, he can defend himself. Jacob Chychrun to step in. He's going to be able to give them some offense that who knows how much more John Carlson should have. Or, like, if he can stay healthy, too. Like, to me, they look like a decent team that could be, like you said at the start, I could see a range of outcomes here. And like Tom Wilson being healthy, can he still be Tom Wilson that's like 25 goals, 25 assists, and like fucking 120 penalty minutes, like killing everybody? I think if he stays healthy and can legit still be a top 6 forward for them, that's a big time difference maker, obviously. But the big question, what the fuck does PLD look like this year? Like, what is he going to look like this year? I have absolutely no idea. I don't know if you're PLD. I don't know how you don't look at this and say, oh, this is probably like, at least I signed that massive ticket, but like realistically, this is probably like, if it doesn't work here and I'm getting fucking like scratched or thrown the 4th line, I don't know how another team is ever going to like even bother. I have no idea. I have no idea.
I lean no, but I really don't know.
Right.
Yeah, for me, it's just such a random accumulation of players. Like, I don't see balanced lines. I don't see, like, chemistry existing right off the hop. Like, I think it's going to be an interesting start. If they hit the ground running right away and look competent, like, maybe they can do something. But I feel like this is a team that's going to take some time to figure out what the hell their identity is and what everyone's role is. Like, I feel like Mangiapane and Ovechkin on the same line, what some people have said, like, that feels weird to me. I don't know. I'm very confused. The only thing I can say with certainty, though, is that 2 things. Sorry. One, you gotta really bang home your wins when you have so few. And I've been right for the past like 3 years on Charlie Lindgren. I just hope that he follows up his performance last year with something similar this year so I can actually feel accomplished instead of it being a little blip. My real excitement with this team, though, if they're in some level of contention to make a playoff spot, inject baby Tom Wilson into this lineup and let him just fucking go bull in China shop.
Let him cook, yeah. Yeah.
Those two on the same line, I would ISO cam the shit out of that.
Yeah. The Apprentice, dude.
Fun.
Yeah, it's a very interesting, fascinating team. I think between their two goalies, they're spending less than $2 million.
And like they're good goalies. They're good goalies.
It's crazy. I know. It's just fascinating, dude.
Less fun, but I did hear that like that whole bit where Thompson got traded while he was signing autographs. Apparently he asked for that trade, so not quite as fun as we thought it was, but still. Vegas would have done it either way. We know it.
Yeah, I know.
I know it.
They're like, damn it, he wants it. Damn it, maybe we should.
Damn it. All right, let's delay this. How can we make it weird? Yes, in the middle of signing autographs. Done.
Yeah.
They actually knew like 3 hours earlier. They're like, all right, let's just wait until his autograph session. Can you guys keep this under wraps? But all right, that rounds out the Metropolitan Division. So Z, let's work it top to bottom. Who's your number one team?
New Jersey.
I like it. I'm going Carolina.
Yeah.
Number two.
Carolina. Yeah, Carolina. I was fluctuating between Carolina.
I'm going New Jersey. Number three.
Rangers.
My number three is the New York Rangers. Fuck.
You really wanted to fucking play that one, dude.
4. Islanders.
I'm saying I'm going Capitals. I'm going with it.
I can absolutely see it happening. I'm not a believer. I think it's way too Frankenstein of a roster. I'm low on them. And in the sense that team that I'm very down on compared to other years, I'm saying my number 5 is Pittsburgh. But they still don't make the playoffs.
My 5 is Pittsburgh.
Oh, so you're just shitting all over Lou.
I have so these 3 teams.
Right, they're so tight.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I feel like 4 through 7 could be like split by 10 points tops. Because my 6 is Washington.
Islanders.
And then I think we're both going to round it out. Philly, Columbus. You know what? If Columbus just had like one more piece, I would be so tempted to get frisky and put them above Philly, but I can't in good conscience. But I do think that they're going to be better than other people think, as we've discussed. All right, there we go. Got through the Metro, had a little bit of difference of opinion, but I don't know. I feel like we're usually fairly aligned on a lot of these. I think the big one here is you like Washington and I don't.
I could see
Not
a world
like.
Yeah. I could see it working, but again, they're still a notch below. Like I have the Atlantic. It's like very tight, pretty much 1 through 7, but Montreal's not as far off as like a big drop off. Anyways, the Metro I have like the top 3, the next 3, the bottom 2.
See, that's the central for me, which we'll get into right after this quick break.
Looks like you guys are ready for the next level. Smaller targets.
Central Division breakdown. This one, I don't know. We've been pretty split on the first two divisions, the Atlantic and Metro. Like, there's a lot of balance throughout, right? Before we get into the teams individually, no naming teams, but how do you break up the tiers for this? Because I've heard a lot of different things, like listening to other like shows, previews for the season. Anywhere from 1 to 4 teams are locks to get in, and anywhere from 1 to 3 teams are locks to be out. And then in the middle, it can be anywhere from like 2 to 5 that people are unsure of. Where do you stand in how you break out your tiers without naming teams?
Yeah, so I was just looking at my list right here. It's a very weird. I've got 2 top teams, a third in its own tier, a group of 3, another one below them, and then another one below them. Like I have like 5 different fucking tiers.
Okay, I don't agree on that, but we can argue on some of it. But I gotta ask then, the third team, if you have to either move them up or move them down, because that tier doesn't exist, which direction do you move them?
Move them up.
Okay. I think we're in a similar spot besides you thinking that there's only 1 team in the bottom tier, and I think there's 2. And
yeah, I was close to coupling. I was close to coupling the bottom 2 together,
okay.
But I still think, and realistically, the more I think I probably
fair.
The one team I looked the least into, but
all right, that's fair. Well, let's jump in then alphabetically here. We've got the Chicago Scumbag Blackhawks. They are undoubtedly improved. Granted, there's a lot of room for improvement. They're not a playoff team, but they're a team that's like interesting to me. Like, it's frisky. I think frisky is the best word for them. Like, they are going to be a frisky team. Like, it's not going to be like last year where they're like a fun, easy route. You're probably going to go in and win, but it's not going to be easy necessarily.
I am lower. Yes, they made a couple interesting pickups. This team fucking stinks. They're a bottom 3 team in the league for me. Easy. Again, I like the individual pickups in guys like Bertuzzi, Teravainen. But they just sent Korchinski back down, which is weird. You got like a potential top pair of Alec Martinez and Seth Jones. And then in net, Mrazek and Brossoit. Like, yeah. The thing is, I just want to know how much more sicko mode Bedard's going to go this year. Because, like, there was one power play. They played the Blues the other day, the preseason. Oh, my God. Bedard was cooking. And granted, the Blues fucking also stink. But, like, another year of him playing, he, like, got that big injury last year where he got fucking crushed by, who was that? Was that Brendan Smith that just deleted him? And, like, broke his jaw? With not even a bad hit. It was just
glass jaw. Yeah, I do think that you're discrediting, too, though. Like, again, if he stays healthy, Taylor Hall really is an ad. He played 10 games last year. Like,
yeah,
that's not a nothing.
Did you see him in the preseason game against the Wild? That was fucking crazy,
dude. It's
I know, but I was still like, oh,
it was funny. It was very funny.
I tweeted the 2 videos. He couldn't stand up.
Your videos were great.
I was like, oh my God. But yeah, I just I look at their group, and I think Nazer got sent back down too.
That's dumb. I think that won't last. I think
they may have came right back up. I feel like I saw him go get sent to, but I don't know if he came back up though.
So regardless of what happens there, I like their forward group a lot better. Not just like, oh, they added a couple names. Each of those names pushes other people further down the lineup. Like Dickinson was good last year. He looks way better as a 3C than a 2C. I think that there's certain guys that like are in a good spot with this roster and at least insulates and lets Bedard have a little bit more fun, like you said. Like, does he go sicko mode? The goaltending's bad. The blue line definitely has a lot of concerns. Again, not a good team, but I think they've got enough of a jolt in forward depth compared to last year that I don't think they're good. I just think that they're not a fun matchup like they were last year.
I think they have close to middle of the pack offense. That defense is fucking horrific.
Vlasic's fun.
Yeah, like he's like a 4-5. On this
Solid
team,
four
he's a 3, which is a
Correct.
problem.
He's a great 4. 3, meh. I don't know. Again,
TJ Brody looked like he forgot how to play hockey last year.
TJ Brody did forget how to play hockey.
And he's going to be their 4.
We're going to spend way too much time arguing over the degree to how bad Chicago is, so we can just move on because, like, we agree they're bad. We're just slightly disagreeing on the variance of how bad. All right, moving on then to a really interesting team. I don't even know in this division if I can claim a Tampa Bay or a Washington Capitals level of, like, I don't know what their ceiling floor is. I don't think I would pick Colorado, but damn, are they, like, really interesting to look at and just think, what are you going to be?
I'm fascinated by this hockey team. I could see. Oh well, there's actually in this division. I still think there's only a couple different outcomes here. Like, I don't see them being like struggling to make the playoffs or anything like that.
No, but for me, it's tougher.
Interesting is do they actually end up at some point this season getting and Nishushkin, dude? I don't know.
He's done.
It feels like probably, but their roster is so weird.
It is very weird. And for me, I think that's my problem. Like, do I think they're a good team? Absolutely. They feel like a team that's so top heavy, kind of like we talked about Tampa before, that one injury really fucks up their world. Whereas, like, other teams can survive one bad injury. You know what I mean? Like, This team cannot afford to lose any of their marquee guys because it unravels the whole thing. But I do still think that they're a scary team. Like, a top 3 first line. I'm not sure what their second line is anymore. Like, with how some of that shuffles out, I think it's going to be interesting to see a full season of Middlestat, but I genuinely don't know who they're going to play on his wings.
Right.
Bottom 6 is fine. I do personally think, and you tell me if I'm taking crazy pills here, because Isha yelled at me when I said this before. I think their blue line's super underrated, and I think they're top 5 in the league. You don't hurt my feelings? Give it to me.
I just think they have super top heavy decor. Sam Girard showed that he can't stay healthy. That's the thing. Sam Girard has not been able to stay healthy at all. But if he does stay healthy, he's really good. He's like,
I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's awesome if he stays healthy. Josh Manson's fine. Like, he does his job.
What's Lekkonen's status? Not to flip off the blue line, sorry. But that's a big difference maker for me. I like that player so much.
I think he's all right. I think he's good to play, right?
Oh, okay. Then
I should double check.
But yeah, the third pair.
I'm really,
but dude, you can get a lot of minutes out of the top 2 pairs.
Inject a potential bounce or a big bounce back, welcome back for Shillington. Inject that into my bone.
I was today years old when I learned that Shillington was a member of the Avalanche. I love that.
Yep.
I love that. I was not aware.
Was it today they traded for Tucker Poolman, which is interesting. He played at HL games. So, like, they have like another guy that could play. Like if it goes to hell with like Shillington or oh my god. Why am I blanking? Oh, Dahan or Brandstrom, I think they're still there. I don't think they waived him. I don't know. Maybe they did. No, I think their defense is like middle of the pack probably, but like ridiculously top heavy.
And the goaltending is a big question mark for me too.
Yeah, and there's a reason that Noonan was like one of the better odds for Calder as well. Like when he stepped in, I think he played like 12 games last year maybe, and he was fucking really good. So if he's at least half ready or like closer to being like ready to be like not like 1A, but like 1C, like he can play like 30 games, like 40 games, at least give some kind of help to Georgia. But that's the big thing too. Like the question, because I think the defense is so top heavy, that's not going to give like Georgiev the cover that he probably really needs to be a guy that can do it for him. I still think, just given the horses they have up front, like Mikko Rantanen for me, it's not like he's an underrated player because everyone knows how fucking unbelievable he is. But
I think he is even a little underrated.
Somewhat, and it's like he just had 2 years in a row. He had 100 points and 50 fucking goals. Like this guy, like the reason they say one of the best teams when McKinnon was hurt too was like Rantanen was just like, I'm gonna do the same shit. I'm gonna put up 50. And apparently, like people be like, it's again. I don't think he's underrated because when you talk about it, everyone's like, "Oh, he's fucking nasty," but like he's just not. Like he never comes up. I feel like when you talk about like, some of the best players in the league because
never.
He is a fucking horse, dude.
Yeah. Oh, he's actually a moose. Don't tell Wild.
Sorry, he's a moose. Yeah, true. Sorry.
All right. Moving on then to a team that. I don't know. It's confusing to me. In my brain, they are like a world beater team, and then I pause and remember some of like the things they decided to do, and it makes me pause for just a second. Dallas Stars. I'm gonna make it real simple. They probably have the deepest forward group in the league and most well balanced. Their goaltending should be fine. I'm gonna maintain slightly even. Several notches above fine. Their blue line is fascinating to me, man. Basically, one side is
that's what I was about to say, dude.
Loaded. The other side fucking scares the shit out of me.
I am so confused about what they did this offseason in terms of their D-core, dude. Like you said, it's so funny to me. Like, I love the left side of their D. I fucking hate the right side of their D.
If you just like put a hand over one eye, you either think that the Stars have the best defense that's ever been assembled, or you think that it's like Iowa AHL from last year. Like there's no
so
between.
Weird what they did with it, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see Maverick Bourque in the NHL. We've been waiting for him to step in for a few years. He's been really fucking good in the A for a couple of years. One of the best players in the A. Yeah. What does Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn look like? Because they've already got a ridiculous group up front where if they can just be fine 40, like half a point per game guys, like that's great. Everyone knows that Logan Stankoven's my pick for the Calder. So this team is just absurd. And I think Ottinger has a big year. Like I think last year was weird. It was just like long stretches of like average to below average play, but when he was on, he was legitimately like the Jake Ottinger, like world beater looking goalie, which I think he will bounce back to have a significantly better year again. But again, the D is just so fucking weird, dude.
It is so weird. But what I've told people too on the goaltending, Casey DeSmith, if he's a true backup that's playing max 30 games, he plays great. Not fine. He's great as a backup. Problem is, if Ottinger misses any time and DeSmith is named the starter, he like doesn't know which direction's up. Like it's crazy how it's just like a mind fuck for him. If he becomes the starter, he doesn't know what to do. So if they stay healthy, I think this goalie tandem can do really well, even with like, basically they're just going to hug the right post and just hope that the left side of the blue line takes care of business. Like there's no way around it. Like Matt Dumba's going to play meaningful minutes on this team.
Mhm.
Not Matt Dumba 7 years ago. Today, current Matt Dumba, which maybe that's a slight upgrade over Suter. Cool. But that is the thing that scares me. And I still think this is a great team. But the amount of people that are like, oh, yeah, Dallas is like head over heels, the best team in the Central, and I have no concerns. Like some people have said that the blue line is upgraded, and I can't wrap my head around it. They're like, oh, Labushkin, it makes sense. You know, Dumba, he's solid. I'm like, I don't understand. I can't get there. But we agree, good team.
Yep, for sure.
All right. That brings us to the home team, Minnesota Wild. There's a lot of things we can say here. I'm just going to lead with my pretty much like the X factor that's going to determine success for this team. Can they figure out the second line? If they can, playoff team. If not, I lean no. And by lean, I mean, I'm saying no. It's that simple for me. If they stay healthy.
Yeah, where I actually landed on them, and again, it's pretty simple. Well, I do think they're going to be a playoff team. I landed on that eventually, but there's two things. It's literally goaltending and health, like which is you can say that about literally every team in the league. But like last year was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Where like that goaltending the first 25 games of the year was, it was
not even that many, but yes, bad.
Like horrifically bad.
Poor
and
Dean.
then poor fucking Dean. And then literally everyone got hurt other than like who didn't get hurt? Brock Faber, Marco Rossi. Those the only two. Like it was crazy.
Not true. Brock Faber got hurt. He just played through it because he's a man.
Yeah.
That no one wants to interview as badly as Jakub Lauko. So
yeah.
Important things to consider. But yeah, there's no like holes. I think it's a good team up and down. Do they like pop out and excel anywhere? No. And I'm sure Pete Blackburn would love to hear that like there's nothing overly exciting throughout the lineup. Like Kirill Kaprizov is a game changer. He could put up 50 goals. He could hit 100 points. No one will be shocked. I'm not talking individual players, but that first line, I don't think it's going to like blow us away. Now, will they be like a capable first line in the NHL? Yeah. But it's not going to be what we saw last year with Ekboldi Kaprizov. That's just not. If you go back to that well for any sustained period of time, your depth scoring is so fucked.
Yeah. Again, the first few weeks are huge, and it doesn't help that they have a super weird schedule to start the year too. But yeah, I keep coming back to like goaltending and health for them because I actually think when you look at like, oddly enough, Trenin and Lauko, I think make the bottom six very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the special teams, again, preseason, they already look a little better than they did significantly better than they did last year. And then you look at a guy like Marco Rossi. I still think he takes another big step forward this year after last year. We're going to see them probably fluctuate between the first and third lines between him and Hartman. I think they're going to experiment with both.
Agreed.
But I landed on that. I think they're, in terms of like the NHL, I think they're still right in their sweet spot, middle of the pack team. They're going to suck to play against just because they've still got a bunch of fucking mutants that are crazy.
Yeah.
They have to have better goaltending. That's really where I come down. Because I actually don't know if they could possibly get like less healthy. Last year was so fucking ridiculous that like between the cap situation and how many guys got hurt, like they were like, we can't do anything. We actually,
yeah, but in fairness, the thing that didn't happen last year is meaningful time missed from our top two guys, being Kaprizov and Faber.
Yep, it turned off.
Can you hear me? Bueller. You back?
It stopped working. Love that for me.
Baxter, is that you? Bark twice if you're in Milwaukee.
Full mute. This is awesome. Love my life. I don't know why it just.
Can you hear me?
Ah! This is great. Why? This is unbelievable. It just went. Let's try to do this. I'm gonna try to leave the studio and come back.
Nice. Thank you, Cosgrove. You pooped in the refrigerator and ate the entire wheel of cheese? How'd you do that? Not even mad. It's amazing. There he is. Beautiful. Well, we'll see. Hopefully Z comes back. Otherwise, divisional recaps will end halfway through the Central, and we'll skip the Pacific here. Oh, is it? It
is.
He can hear me. Good. All right, so I don't know where we left off on the Wild, but my biggest thing is that Kaprizov and Faber didn't get hurt. And those are the two guys that absolutely cannot get hurt. That's the only way. Like you said, injuries can't possibly be worse. It'd be worse if it was either of them. That's all I'm saying.
Kaprizov got hurt. He missed stretches.
Not big stretches. Missing Kaprizov for like 15 plus games would be pretty tough.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's more, I guess, what I'm getting at. Yeah, I don't know if Kaprizov, Ek, and the top four on the blue line can stay healthy. I think this team can weather a lot of storms, but they're just in that weird middle of this division where there's just going to be so much balance and parity, and they're going to beat the shit out of each other. I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, and well, with the parity thing too, I still think like I could nitpick each and every team in this division still.
No, absolutely.
So like again, we talked about Dallas. I love how balanced and how ridiculously good the top of their forward group is. But like again, all four lines, there's something you like. Defense is super fucking weird.
The blue line is weird. I can't really nitpick their forward group much.
Right. And we'll get to the other top team here soon. But
well, let's get to them right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Nashville Predators, Isha's baby. Definitely the most fireworks in the offseason for so many reasons. A team that's undoubtedly improved their roster, but this is the team that everyone's looking at and being like, oh yeah, they're the darling. If someone's gonna like dethrone Dallas, like Nashville's primed for it. And I understand and push back against it at the same time. Like I'm a little torn. Again, this is kind of like Colorado Avalanche for me. Like this is a good team, no doubt about it. How good though? How good?
Weirdly enough, like where I kind of landed on like the wild card, or like if this thing goes right, then they're gonna be at least. I don't think they're gonna be as good as the people that are like, oh, on like the second they made those big signings, instantly a top 5 team in the league. Like I don't buy any of like the full on hype train, but they're obviously drastically improved. They made a bunch of like big signings that should drastically improve their roster in general. But like weirdly enough, as I was going through it, what they really need to take a big step forward is if Brady Shea can actually inject offense from the blue line, because it at this point cannot only be Roman Josi, because other than those two, the rest of their D is Alex Carey, who's like fantastic transition defenseman, Jeremy Lauzon, who has just set the record for most hits in an NHL season, Luke Shen and Spencer Stastny might be there for like 60.
What about Fabro?
I don't know. He wasn't even listed here. I don't know if he got hurt.
Fabro's going to be in.
And even then, he's not a guy that you're looking at for more than like 15 points, maybe. So I think if Brady Shea can inject offense from their blue line, the outside of Roman Josi, that'll make a big difference for them. Because I mean, UC Saros, I believe in him, obviously.
Totally.
And then, I mean, Forsberg is ridiculous. O'Reilly was awesome. Nyquist had a ridiculous breakout year again. Well, no, not even breakout. Like a fucking everyone knew Gus Nyquist was awesome, but last year he just really popped off. And then
that's the one that got away, man. That's the one that we fucked up on signing. Again, I'm not shitting on Johansson, but to say that he was the priority over bringing Gus Nyquist back, crazy.
He was really good.
The one that's really gotten to me though, because I guess I understand it, but I really, in my brain, can't get there. So many people are trying to say, I don't know. Like, if you're going to be a detractor against Nashville, it's, wow, can Tommy Novak really center Marchessault and Stamkos? Have you watched this fucking kid the last 2 years?
He is
incredible. Real. He is awesome. Gopher alum, not important to the conversation, but he's been great of late. And he's been doing that without having Stamkos and Marchessault on his line. So, yeah, I'm not worried about Tommy Novak. I actually think Tommy Novak could pop off this year. And I'm excited for it.
Yeah. I'm in a weird boat where I'm like, I agree. Yeah, he's been awesome. I could also see why there's some skepticism. is he really 2C right now? You know what I mean? But he's been incredible. He's been such a fucking good player for them since he stepped in.
And he's done it as a 2C.
Right.
Without line mates. I don't know. I get it, but I don't. I'm really torn on it, but I'm a believer. I think Tommy Novak's sick. Yeah. Yes. Yes for me. Joe Mama asks, nice name, is Novak better than Duchesne? I go yes. Z looks like he needs to poop.
I don't know if he is right now, but maybe. What did he have? What did he put up last
I'm saying this season he will be better. That's my claim.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that.
But yeah, I again get it. There's definitely reasons for some level of concern, but again, down the stretch with how they played last year without Stamkos, Marchessault, or Shea, hard to believe that they're not at least as good as they were, if not better in certain ways. I think they're a fun team. Do I think that they're a true Stanley Cup contender like everyone's trying to peg them out to be? No, I'm not really sold yet, but by Thanksgiving, could they convince me? Absolutely. I'm just not there right now. That's not a team that I'm throwing in my lump with preseason futures for who's going to win the cup. I'm not there. Yeah. All right. Next one up. The Martin St. Louis Blues.
Oh, brutal. I mean, they stink. They're not. I don't like them at all. It's just a brutal watch. They've got a couple of players that I love, but
fucking Daily Faceoff has Bushnevich as their 2C. It's so fun. This team somehow took a brutal blue line and found a way to make it funnier and worse. I love it. Yeah, I'm very not high on the St. Louis Blues. I am high on their future. I think they've got good prospects. And like as soon as they pick up Mitch Marner in the offseason, like they'll be in a pretty good spot. I don't like them. I like a lot of individual players. I don't like the team.
Yeah. No, I'm in the same boat. Like Buchnevich, I think rocks. Jordan Kyrou rocks. Robert Thomas rocks. I love Jake Neighbors. They were struggling.
Ryan Suter rocks.
The weirdest D. Yeah, I keep forgetting about Suter.
If Binnington will drop the gloves with Fleury and they don't stop him, he can rock a little bit. That's all I need. I just need Binnington versus Fleury before Fleury retires.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, at the end of the day, this isn't a very good hockey team. Like, there's not really a whole lot where you can even like they're Holloway again. The offer sheets, I still like that they did that. Obviously, just because they're offer sheets, and I think
that's the one thing that I'll like hit the brakes on. Like, it hurts me that I have to hate them so much. Hate's the wrong word. It hurts me that I have to dislike their roster so much after their GM pulled the double offer sheet, and I love them for it. Thank you so much. You've made the NHL a better place. You're not going to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, nope.
That's
I actually, now that I look at the roster again, I'm putting them in the same, well, slightly above, but different category. I'm not grouping them separate from the other 11 tiers that I put somehow in this division.
All right. That was your St. Louis Blues. Sorry, guys. We do not hate the fans. We just don't think the roster's good. Next up, the Arizona Coyotes. Nope. The Yeti. Nope. The Utah Hicks. I am uncomfortably high on this team.
Go off.
I mean, we've talked about this plenty. I can't, like, a lot of people talk about it and they say it's a vibes thing. And, like, sure, there's an element of that. But for me, if you just look at how they started the season last year compared to where it went after all the shit hit the fan with that absolute loser, Morello, started pulling his antics, like, it was a different team. Like, that was a playoff team to start the year. Now they have an owner that cares about them. Instead of taking, like, a school bus to games, they're going to be taking a PJ. They're not going to get kicked out of their hotel in the middle of the night because the owner won't pay the bills. And they're going to have a fan base that fucking loves them. And no slight to Arizona Coyote fans because, like, they're great fans. Only 10,000 of you can even fit in the building. I just think it's such a lease on life that these guys are going to be so excited to go out and play in a new market. And I think they got some young players that can take real steps. And you literally added 2 legit top 4 defensemen and pushed other people down on your blue line. I think that they are going to be not like a contender, but they're a problem. They're not a team you want to play. And yeah, Cosgrove, I think you're right. It was probably closer to 5,000 or 6,000. Yeah, I don't know, Z. How do you feel? Tell me how crazy I am.
No, I think they're going to be legit in the running for a playoff spot, at least for like the wild card, especially the Pacific is. Like,
they're not in the Pacific, but
no.
You're saying like because there'll be 2 spots, yeah.
So I'd actually feel pretty comfortable like predicting a wild card spot for them, but a lot of that is also going to be predicated on A, Sergachev being ready to be a number 1 defenseman, and B, him staying healthy. Did I say 1 and then B, or did I? But that's pretty funny.
Something like
that. Because I mean, like Sergachev obviously had that huge injury last year, then he came back and got hurt again, and then he somehow I think ended up playing in the playoffs. But I mean, he's missed a ton of time last 2 years. John Marino, obviously, that's another big get for them, just like in terms of a guy that can be a really solid, like, if maybe like a quiet but effective defenseman. Sean Durzi, again, he's going to take another step forward, obviously.
Mhm.
Goaltending is going to be interesting. Vamelka's been like pretty good. Other than like, he's like this when he's on, he'll go 10, 15 games where he's like, oh, he is legit. And then they bring
I
in
think
Connor
Ingram's
Ingram,
the same.
Same thing, right? So then they can get pretty decent goaltending, and then like it's so funny. Like I love their wings specifically. Like plus the fact I said before, I think Cooley's gonna have a huge year.
All
But
about that.
the people need to talk more about how ridiculously good Matias Michelli is.
I knew you were going to go into Michelli. Go off.
He is one of the best passers in the fucking league. He rules, and he's so fucking good. Went off last year. Again, I think it's now 2 years of him just playing incredibly well. Clayton Kelly gets the seed. Dylan Guenther, I also think, is going to have a huge year. Nick Schmaltz has just been solid for them. Another big question to be Barrett Hayton. Barrett Hayton's going to be a big question mark too. That's another thing. If he can really be a prime two, he had a good year last year, maybe a little bit inconsistent, but he still looked like he took a huge step. And then we'll see what Josh Doan looks like this year. Like,
yeah, I was going to say, dude, Hayton, Cooley, Doan, if two of them pop off, you're happy.
Mm-hmm. So,
and that's very reasonable. Like, not reasonable is maybe not the right word. Very possible. Like, not unreasonable to think that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that
for me, they should be pushing for a wild card spot.
I gotta say though, Elliot Friedman and a couple other people who are like so like firm on the like, yeah, they want to be called Utahns. Like you just put an N at the end of Utah. All I can picture every freaking time is goddamn Pat McAfee just Don the Utahns. Like I picture him saying Utahns every time someone types it, and it is the best and worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Paradox, I'm with you. Cooley is going to make everyone in Utah look twice. I think him and Guenther on a line together is going to be so freaking fun. And I think Keller and Schmaltz is like just such a stable, reliable first line set of wingers. And you got guys like Kraus, Michelli. Like, I just, this is not a Stanley Cup contending team, but this to me is a playoff team.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters for the preseason rankings. Okay. Last one here for the Central. We have the Winnipeg Hockey Jets. This is probably my Tampa Bay, my Washington, my team that, dude, if they ended up being the second best team in the division, I'd look back and be like, yeah, I guess I get it. If they ended up being sixth in the division, yep, get it. Like, I don't know what to expect of this team. It's going to be interesting. It's weird because last year I was the guy that said, why is everyone so low on them? And granted, they did way better than I predicted in the regular season. Big caveat. I'm lower on them this year. Do you agree or disagree on Winnipeg taking a step back?
No, yeah, I'm in the same boat where I'm like, I when I put them down, I was like, I guess I have them taking a step back. And I'm like, so I don't love the roster as a whole, but then I still look at it again. I'm like, but like it realistically, I don't know why. Because like the big thing is, can Dylan Sandberg step in and fill Brendan Dillon's like top 4 spot in that D? Like, can he be their 3-4 guy? Because he's been fine.
Fine.
And like he's actually been like pretty good for them, like very quiet player. But if he can just step into a little bit of an elevated role and like fill a little bit of Brendan Dillon's shoe, like boots over there, then like that'll go a long way. Hellebuck is gonna be Hellebuck. I don't have any concern about him taking like being a problem or whatever.
He won't be
And
a
the other big
problem.
question mark.
For me, though, Hellebuck is a no-shit top 10 goalie. Like, lock it in. Last year, he was the best goalie in the league in the regular season. I don't think he does that. And I think that was a big part of what they did. Again, like, I think it's just so much to ask of a goalie to do that in back-to-back seasons. Even if he ends up being, like, the 5th or 6th best goalie, that already puts you several slots back from where you were when we're questioning their blue line.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Morrissey's become such a better all-around defenseman the past, like, 2 years or so.
Agreed. That's it.
I like Dylan DeMello's really fucking good. Neil Pion's been significantly better than he was, like, the start of his Winnipeg career. And again, like, if Dylan Sandberg can really step in, that could be a potential wild card as far as just, like, if he could fill Brendan Dillon's role, I think they're still going to be okay.
Yeah.
Back there. And, I mean, we saw what Velarde did last year. Velarde, like, he is continuing just to get
awesome.
better and better. And I think another wild card is, like, what minutes is Nick Ehlers going to get? Like, are they just going to let him cook? Or are they going to do that bullshit where they throw in the fourth line every couple of games?
Trade him to Pittsburgh, please.
There you go.
Their second line is confusing to me, though. Like, Ehlers is pretty much on an island there. There's a ton of different guys they've worked in there. I don't know how it's going to work out. Their first line is really good. I don't think that you'd look at any of the 3 guys on that line and say that they are like a superstar pop-off talent. All of them fit in any first line in the league. I don't know that any of them carry it, even though, like, Kyle Connor can fucking shoot the puck like anybody. But it's not a first line that, like, scares you for how, like, solid, sturdy, balanced the rest of their forward group is. You know what I mean? Like, you want them to pop off just a little bit more or have a little bit more firepower in your second line. Because their depth at forward is solid. Like, there's no real concerns top to bottom. It's the blue line being shaky. Because, like you said, there's definitely a world where that blue line pans out well. There's definitely a world where it's not good. And I don't know where we fall in that spectrum. But they're going to be interesting. And like I said, I could easily eat my words, and I'm very aware of that. I'm not a believer with some of the forwards they've lost. Because, like, Gensel leaving the Carolina Hurricanes is a lot different than the Jets, who were, like, way ahead of the game and brought in their deadline ads, like, a month early. Losing some of those guys at forward, Monahan and who is the other guy? Is that the Foley? Like, that hurts. It does. Does it cripple them? No. I'm more interested to see what happens with the coaching change.
Yeah, and you know what, though? Now that I'm thinking about it more, you know what's making me a little bit more confident is I actually think Cole Perfetti's going to have a big year.
Possible.
I think he put up.
He's a rat.
Right under 20 goals last year, I think.
Think he's going to wear a wire again?
Yeah, it's so funny. It's
That was
ridiculous.
Hey, Hartman, wait, step a little bit closer and say that again, please.
Hey, say it to my chest. Speak into my chest, plate.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, this is the team that I don't know how far the pendulum swings either way. I'm going to be more influenced on my opinion of them based on how I feel about other teams rather than how I feel about them, which is not the right way to do it. But I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat.
So we got through it. Rankings. What's your number 1?
Dallas.
Yep, I assumed. I think we're going to go first 3 in unison. Who's your number 2? Maybe not.
Nashville?
Say it without a question mark so I believe you.
Nashville.
Colorado.
Yeah, that's what's going back and forth on. I
So
changed.
Colorado's the one that you almost had in the lower tier. I like that. That's interesting. So that means your 3 is Colorado. My 3 is Nashville. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, for me, I think that is the tier. I think those 3 are in. And then the middle 3 for me is the team we just talked about, Winnipeg, Minnesota, and Utah. And for me, number 4 is Utah.
I'm going to go bias. I'm going to say Minnesota. I'm just going to believe in them. Should I? I don't know. But I'm going to do it.
5.
Fuck it, Utah.
Minnesota. So you are with me.
I landed
Winnipeg
here.
6.
I don't feel good about putting them.
I feel horrible about it. I feel disgusted about it.
I think they're gonna make us look like idiots. But
Again, they're gonna finish second in the division. We're gonna be like, God damn it.
Yeah. Like,
But-
this never happened.
No, they're and again, I think the separation in this scenario, Utah down even potentially through St. Louis, might only be a 10-point separation. It's possible. But yeah, St. Louis is my 7, and I don't think there's a shot in hell they make the playoffs. If they make the playoffs, I'll eat shit. But Winnipeg, that one, like, I'm prepared. I'm like, nope, they could absolutely blow this up. St. Louis, no, not happening.
Same.
And then Chicago exists.
Yes.
If they had any semblance of blue line or had goalies I could trust, I would love to put Chicago ahead of St. Louis, but I can't. I can't do it.
Mm-mm.
Wow, I really thought you were going to come in and drop Winnipeg at 4. And here you are sitting at 6 with me.
Yeah. I don't feel good about it at all.
Horodox, correct. If the Blues make the playoffs, we're so wildly wrong. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. Now, in a couple of years, and they got Rick Dvorsky, they got Snuggerud, they got Mitch Marner, like, that's going to be a different story. But this year, bad. The worst vibes. All right. Down the final path here. Pacific Division. Let's start with the one that, like, I can't quite wrap my brain around what they are or what their path forward is. But let's talk about the team that has the jerseys that apparently everyone loves, and I'm like super like meh on. Anaheim Ducks.
They stink. They're gonna stink again. They're just not good. Again, a team that should, in theory, in a couple of years, be ridiculously good, just given the young talent that's coming through. Even with a couple of like the younger players taking another step forward, this team is just. I think they're in one again. I think John Gibson's a good goalie. I also think he gets wildly overrated sometimes. This is another team for me that's easy bottom 3 in the league. If John Gibson ends up getting traded halfway through the year, by the way, then they're going to be even fucking like more.
Hang on, though, because I'm going to disagree on that stance alone. It's not his team anymore. I think it's Lucas Dostal's team, and I have been like the biggest John Gibson supporter for a long time. He's a good goalie. I don't think they're going to trade him because I don't think any team wants to take on his contract with how he's playing right now. And I like the names. I like the potential. I just don't know what the hell to make of these guys. Like, they have some fun names throughout. Minchikov and Lacombe on the blue line. Fun. You look at their forward group, and it's like, how can this not be a good team? It's not. I can't make sense of it. I'm also not sure they're bottom 3 in the league just because there's other teams that I think are in the running for that. It's not a matter of me thinking that Anaheim's good. It's being down on some other teams. But they're not a playoff team. But let's say that outright. They're kind of confusing to me.
I mean, their young players are awesome. But
They are.
And again, I've said this before, this is the year that like Zegras has to pop off. He has to. But even if he does, this team stinks. So that's where I land on them, dude. I couldn't believe in them any less.
But your son, Leo.
I love Leo.
McTavish.
Boy.
He's sick. I actually love Troy Terry. That's my guy.
Yeah, he rules. Yeah.
He rules. Oh man. Yeah, I'd be slightly higher on them if not for the fact that they're already basically saying that Cam Fowler is getting traded. Yeah, I don't know. Hard to be overly positive about the Anaheim Ducks unless you are Jesse Pierce.
That was so funny.
She still feels that way. Like she'll never get off that bit. She is going to pull for them until they're like a playoff team in 7 years. So, yeah, that's a tough one. Next up, Calgary Flames. Z, how do we feel about what's happening in Calgary?
They also stink, dude. Like, there's another team that stinks. The only chance that they really have, well, there's two things that need to happen in order for them to like be competing for a playoff spot. Some semblance of the poor man's Jonathan Huberdeau needs to show up again in Jonathan Huberdeau. He needs to be the poor man version of himself.
I thought you were going to say they'd find an undo button and just reverse that trade.
Yeah, or that. But who knows where that goes. Matt Coronado's, I guess, like a potential to help a little bit offensively, but even him himself, I don't know. Anthony Manthus with the same question marks as a guy like PLD, where I'm like, how you should be one of the better power forwards in the NHL, and it's just the give a shit meter apparently is so low, it's crazy. And then the two big things I look at is like, what does Jonathan Huberdeau look at? And then can Dustin Wolf show that he is a legit, ready to go starting goaltender immediately? Like that's realistically what they have to, they need both of those things to go right in order for them to compete for a playoff spot. And even if they do, there's like those two themselves that aren't going to be able, I just don't see it happening. It's not, I think this team stinks.
You ready for an outrageous statement?
Here we go.
Dustin Wolf is the only thing stopping me from saying this is like the worst team in the league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I do believe he could be the guy. I do think that he could be good. But dear Lord, does this roster inspire zero confidence? It
is a ridiculous collection of hockey players.
Yeah, it's a shit sandwich.
It's such a weird group that I struggle to like form a ton of coherent thoughts. They're going to have like 4 or 5 flashes in every game where they do something cool.
They'll have good games. They have good players, but the top to bottom in the lineup, it's bad. Like,
yeah.
Nazem Kadri is not a 1C. Blake Coleman isn't a top 6 forward. Like none of this makes sense. Like literally, as you said earlier, if Huberdeau and Mantha both like figure it out and like go to what we've all perceived them to be like 4 years ago, that is the only way I see them doing anything different than what I'm expecting right now, which is absolute dog shit.
And like Uyghur and Anderson as a top pair, they'll have to play like 35 minutes a night.
I like them, and Miramanov could be interesting, but like that's it.
Yeah, Miramanov will be fine.
Yeah, but it's bad.
With Kevin Ball,
I feel bad because like I genuinely feel bad for Calgary Flames fans. I think they are so mistreated. Like now, it sounds like they're finally going to get a new arena at least. but it's going to be a long, slow path to getting back to relevance, and I genuinely feel for them. I'm not trying to shit on their fans. Like, it sucks. I am sorry that you have to go through this. It blows. Oh, man. All right. Next up in the Pacific, I believe. Now I got to check the outline just to make sure. Yep, it is the Edmonton Oilers. They're bad. The vibes are bad. Not going to do anything. Next.
This team is ridiculous, dude.
So fucking good, dude. So good. The one I'm not concerned in the regular season at all. Come postseason, I'm still worried about their blue line.
Yeah, no, the concern is the blue line.
I have one pairing. That's it.
I think Stuart Skinner showed himself to be a good goalie at least.
I've defended him for a long time, dude. He's a good goalie. He's not a game changer. He's good enough.
Yeah. It's just Ekholm, Bouchard, they're going to have to play 30 minutes in the playoffs. If Ty Emberson can be like a good 4, that helps them. Brett Kulak, if he can like be some version of the player that they first acquired when he got there, then that'll take him a long way into being a legit. Well, they're still a Stanley Cup contender no matter what, just because you have Connor fucking McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Jeff Skinner, and Arvidsson to be very fun up there. If Arvidsson can stay healthy, that's going to be.
If he stays healthy, holy shit.
Yeah, no, this team is absurd. They're like the firepower they have up front is terrifying. And like even with a middle of the pack defense group, it doesn't really matter because this is the one team that you can be like, yeah, they're planning on winning every game like 8-5, and they'll probably do it. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
You know what though? I do have a similar question that I've asked on a couple of teams previous. What's their give a shit meter in the regular season? Like, is it we just need to make the playoffs, or is it like we want to go out and punish people? And I don't know what the makeup of this team is going to be. I'm not sure yet.
Well, I think they're going to want to get, like, for them, I don't think you could. Like, I'll never question like a guy like McDavid's give a shit meter. If his give a shit meter is at like 120%, that automatically makes you one of the better teams in the league. Like, damn,
I don't know, dude. Why did he on Face Off on Amazon have to yell at everyone about not giving a shit?
That's why I'm not worried about him.
Right.
Because he can single-handedly drag them to the fucking like final.
Again,
and the Pacific stinks.
Holistically, yes. I think the top end of the Pacific's awesome.
I think
their top 3 teams are sick, and I think there's a 4th team that could be frisky.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know.
So all I'm saying, we've said they're making the playoffs. Yes. I'm wondering, do they finish 1? Not off of talent of the roster. They have the best roster. But do they make the push? Like, do they give a fuck enough compared to the other teams that like need to get home ice if they want to have a chance to beat Edmonton? You know?
Yeah,
I'm not saying they won't. I'm just saying that's like my one like little wild card to it.
Yeah, I still think they finished 1.
Fine.
I can't even. Yeah, I think they're in their own tier.
Well, la-ti-da. Next up, then, Minnesota Wild fans' favorite team, the LA Kings. What the fuck are they?
Another team that I'm like, what? Yeah, no, I don't know what they are now.
Dude, it sucks because now it looks like it's like reactionary to the Doughty injury, which like certainly is true. I didn't have them as a playoff team even before that, which is a stretch, I know.
Yeah, I still landed on them making the playoffs.
Okay, well, now Doughty out for months.
So a lot of that's going to rest on, hey, how much of a step forward can Brant Clark take? He's obviously not going to be Drew Doughty, but can he be a poor man's version of Drew Doughty? We'll see. He's super young, obviously.
Well,
so
let's
who
see.
knows?
Let's see what he says about Kirill Kaprizov when he comes into town.
Yeah, exactly. I think obviously now, like, the goaltending isn't good, but it's still better than it was before.
Is it? Is it?
I think it's a little bit.
Even the way
and
you
I
said
still-
that didn't inspire confidence.
Well, their goaltending was just outright bad before.
I still think it's outright bad.
But another full season of Quentin Byfield being Quentin Byfield is going to go
like
a
that.
long way. Kevin Fiala is going to do his thing still.
Do you know
I
who
like
my
the
favorite
Fogle edition.
player on this roster is?
Who?
I feel like we've talked about it enough. Who do I love on this roster? Forward.
Is it Kempe? Well, Phil Deneau.
Adrian Kempe fucking
Yeah.
rocks.
Yeah, Kempe, like,
I
had
want
that
him on a different
30-goal
team
year
like
that he
I
got.
need air. He's
Yeah.
so awesome and like just does not get nearly enough talk. He rocks so much. For me, the interesting thing here is, can Byfield ascend quicker than Kopitar descends? That's going to be like a big barometer for what this team can do. Because Phil Deneau, 3C, that's good. Check. Don't know what the fuck Tanner Jeannot is. And that whole third line is interesting. Fourth line is interesting of how that's going to be assembled. But the blue line scares the crap out of me. Goaltending scares the crap out of me. That is a cocktail for me to say you are not a playoff team.
Yeah, I think the questions are still fair, so I don't think it's crazy at all. But and you know who's been just so fucking good for them since he got to LA was Trevor Moore, dude. Like, he is now, like, what did he score last year? He scored 30 goals last year. Like, he went off.
Is that all?
57 points. Yeah, 31 goals last year in 82 games. Stayed healthy the whole year.
Dude, I just pulled up my iPad because my wife's leaving and I need to like track the kid. Top thing for a notification: new lawsuit accusing Deshaun Watson of sexual assault and battery has been resolved. The woman's lawyer
great.
tells ESPN. So basically, he's like, his entire paycheck, which is ungodly large, is going to all of these lawsuits so that he can keep playing ridiculously poor football. But continuing, sorry.
Yeah, no, that guy. It's open and shut case. Fuck that guy.
All-time loser. Yep.
But yeah, no, I mean, the Doughty thing's a problem, obviously. I still think in this division they should be able to make the playoffs, but I think they're pretty middle of the pack.
Okay,
in terms of the
answer.
league at large.
How many Pacific teams make the playoffs? 3, 4, or 5?
I lean towards 3. I could see the Central being so close that they just beat the shit out of each other. Maybe they go 4 and
Make
4.
it tougher. Sure. Okay, but so you think that LA is either 3 or 4? Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on from them. Next up, alphabetically. Whoa, it's a big jump. Feels like we shouldn't already be going from LA to San Jose, but San Jose Sharks. Kind of like Chicago. Are they good? No. Are they more fun? Yes.
I weirdly like they're gonna be bad, but I'm weirdly more excited about them than Chicago. Just obviously with Celebrini, but then they bring in guys like Toffoli, like Will Smith's gonna be Will Smith's gonna be fun to see if he can stick in a top 6 role there. William Eklund, I feel like I've already forgot about him. He's looked good in spurts.
Slippery Pete should not be forgotten.
Slippery
Guy
Pete will
rocks.
never. Yes.
People
And
also
they brought
forget
in a bunch
that.
of guys.
Well, dude, Barclay Goodrow begged to come back.
Yeah, he's thrilled.
Oh man.
Shout out, will always be loved here. Nico Sturm, love him forever. And I mean, the defense is fascinating.
That's a word.
Still crazy to me that they brought Jake Wallman for nothing.
Yep.
They literally were paid.
No. They brought him
Wallman
for getting a second, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, again, a big wild card for them to just not be like terrible will be a guy like Askarov. If he just like can step in, I think
Blackwood?
That makes a difference for them.
Can Blackwood do it?
He has to get back to staying healthy and stop being a dick. Then
Sure, agreed, but that's possible.
Yeah. They don't have it's fine. I think their goaltending should be fine.
Yeah.
Like it's not being one thing that you look at and be like, oh, black hole.
It's fine. It's fine. Guys, it's fine.
They're going to be a must-watch power play team.
That's going to be fun. Yeah, kind of like that.
But,
still sad that Kalen Addison couldn't quarterback the power play, but whatever.
Yeah.
I haven't seen official news. I assume he got released from his PTO.
He did. It was on Sunday.
Fucking awesome. All right. That's San Jose Sharks. Next one up, Z, and going to surprise you probably, but this is my Tampa Bay, my Washington, my Winnipeg. I don't know what the Seattle Kraken are going to be. They could easily be a playoff team. They could easily be bottom 3 in the division. I don't know which way it lands.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat with them. Why can't I pull up the thing I had up earlier?
To be honest, this could be solved pretty quickly. If they had a goalie, I'd probably lean towards them being top half.
Yeah, and I mean, again, the contracts they gave out this summer were legitimately mind-blowing, but still make them better for 2 years.
Yes.
Long term, ridiculous contracts to give out, but next
100%
year
agree.
Makes them significantly better. So
yes. No one, like, people can't separate the two. They either think this is an awesome addition, period, or wow, these contracts suck. That means the team sucks. Like I'm totally in line with you that they are better. They are undoubtedly better. In 3 or 4 years, those contracts are going to fucking suck.
Yep.
But it's a good team, I think, if the goaltending can hold up. I don't know what to make of that goaltending. I think that they have very solid blue line. I think their forward depth is great. They don't have a true first line, in my opinion. Like, Jared McCann is really the only true first liner that they have in my mind, which, of course, fuck you, Ronnie Textall, you piece of shit. There's just a lot of guys I like. It's really reminiscent of like what Pete Blackburn would always view the Wild as. It's like a ton of second liners, up and down.
Yeah. And a guy that legitimately for me has always been usually my answer for the most underrated player in the league, Oliver Bjorkstrand.
Yeah.
He rocks, but
he's awesome.
Yeah. If the goaltending can be okay, that's going to go a long way, obviously. But again, like we just said, though, the signings that they made while they were ridiculous make them better this year. So this is actually the team I had going back and forth with LA.
Okay. I'm really curious now which team you hate that I don't hate. And they're the last 2 teams.
Oh, wait. No, I lied. Oh, wait.
So are you just way off? Okay.
No.
Dang, I thought we were going to have wildly different rankings, and now I think we're probably going to land really similar. Okay.
Yeah, I was looking at my list the wrong way.
All right. Well, next up, Isha's Vancouver Canucks / basically Boston Bruins.
They're good.
I like them a lot.
Yep. I think they're one of the better teams.
For me, too, the Philip Hronek deal is similar to what we were just talking about, where, like, I don't like the deal to its full extent, they're better to have him this year. So it is what it is. Like, I don't care about the future right now. I really like this team, man. The only question mark really falls to goaltending, and I think Shelovs can carry the load until Demko's back. And dude, having Lankinen as a third, you could do a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, just a really well-built team, top to bottom. Like, I actually forgot that Daniel Sprong's there, who's like, he's like, I play 9 minutes and I will score every other game somehow. I will find a way to get it done. If Jake DeBrusk can just stay consistent for an entire year, and the fact that he's probably gonna be playing with like Elias Pettersson, that could be very fun.
And if you had to pick one player that you and I both cherish,
Danton Heinen, thank you.
I love him.
I'm so upset that the Bruins did not bring him back. I don't know why they didn't do that, but whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, last year, especially in the playoffs, we saw that like Dakota Joshua and Connor Garland were fucking awesome for them in the playoffs. Suter's an interesting like guy right in the middle.
How long is Joshua out?
I don't know.
I love Pew Suter, and it bothers me that no one knows how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, I know. Another guy that I think we all love, Carson Soucy. He's just like so fun. He just rocks, dude. Like I love that guy. And I mean, Derek Forbert's gonna help on the PK too. So this is a fucking good team, man.
It really is.
And like you said, like Shelov should be able to step in and help out while Demko's missing time.
And if anything, hopefully him like taking his time to come back, if Shelovs really does play well, just keeps Demko that much more fresh for the postseason, which has nothing to do with our rankings right now, but just saying, like, I think for the team, you obviously want Demko in for game one, but it's like a silver lining. It could work out in your favor if Shelovs can hold.
Yeah. And I think everyone's accepted at this point JT Miller's really fucking good at hockey. I think people have like finally given up on trying.
People still fight it. Dude, I love him so much. I don't understand the hate. And my favorite fourth line center in existence, Teddy Bluger.
Yeah, he rules. This team is very, very, very good. So,
all right. Well, we don't have to waste any more time on them then. Let's go to the other team that, like, I was starting to think you were going to like come in and shit on them based on how you were talking about Seattle and LA, but apparently you've reshuffled everything. Everyone's favorite team. We all love to hate them together. This is my Carolina Hurricanes of the Pacific. Like, everyone is shitting on them because of a couple of key losses and like doesn't look at the holistic team build. Vegas Golden Knights are a good fucking hockey team.
Yeah, I think they're still good. I don't think they're as dangerous as they've been. Well, actually, sorry. First and foremost, fuck the Vegas Golden Knights. Fuck the NHL's obsession with the Vegas Golden Knights. The fact that they're getting the salary cap relief for the Robin Lehner thing is
that's getting overblown.
I hate them. I hate them so much. I hate them with a passion. Fuck them.
Okay. Do you hate Robin Lehner?
Maybe. No.
Oh,
maybe.
Okay. then you're well founded. What Friedman said is basically like that Vegas had full grounds to just terminate his contract entirely, and that they were willing to work around it and still pay him if the league would accept it. So it's like the one time that Vegas wasn't douchebags.
Yeah, fuck them.
Also, apparently Isha like knows a guy that like literally does drugs with Leonard on the daily. So that's cool. Over in Thailand.
That's sick.
Yeah, sounds like a great time. But dude, this is a top 5 team in the league down the middle. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, no, their center depth is absurd. They're probably it's
fucking
ridiculous. And I mean,
like, they have some of my favorite. Like, let's remove the person or anything like that, because I've got, well, a good friend who won't let me say anything nice about Eichel. But dude, I am such a big supporter of the way that Jack Eichel and Tomas Hertl play hockey. The fact that you got them as your 1-2 centers, wow.
And then William Karlsson 3.
And
Nick
William
Waugh,
Karlsson,
4.
who is all vibes.
And Nick Waugh, your 4th line center. He's ridiculous.
Like, that is so good. And guess what? It gets better. Their blue line is fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
The real question mark is goaltending, which, like, they could do worse. And I actually think Samsonov playing behind, like, a better team defense structurally could have a resurgent year. I'm not going to bet my life on it, but, like, I think it's within the realm of realistic possibility.
Yeah, no, I think it's certainly possible. I mean, like, also playing in front of or playing behind this decor should be a major help.
Is this the best decor in the league? At least, like, not crazy for me to say it.
It's very good.
Assuming they don't terminate the production of minivans, like, this is a easily top 5 blue line.
Probably as a whole. Yeah.
It's pretty good, man. But yeah, this is a really good team, and I don't like that. And I feel like everyone thinks that they're bad because they decided not to bring back Marchessault.
Well, I mean, in that realm, potential wild card Alex Holtz stepping in, getting that change of scenery, and playing probably like William Karlsson and Brendan Brisson. If he can be looked at, I mean, who knows how many games Mark Stone will actually play this year. So there's a world where he steps into the second line there.
Yeah,
or actually,
the other one.
Yep. And then Olofsson too. Like Olofsson's going to be interesting to watch too, because that's a guy that
Eichel,
shot is so good.
Olofsson, Eichel, Barbashev, dude.
I mean, Eichel's going to feed him nonstop. They've played together before.
It worked in Buffalo.
Yeah, so he can score 30 in his sleep. But I mean, if Mark Stone stays healthy and Alexander Holtz can like really flourish in a new environment, that's going to be a big game changer for them.
This could be a really stupid comment, but in my brain, I feel like we have our first re-return for the Vegas Golden Knights. Is Tanner Pearson the first person to join the Knights, leave them, and come back?
Maybe.
I can't think of one. There's probably like 7 examples that I'm just completely blanking on that people will hammer me for the comments, but I'm thinking Tanner Pearson's the first.
Yep. No, they're going to be good.
Something tells me that like Perron has pulled it off before, because he's literally played for every team that he's ever played for like 7 times.
Yeah, he likes to go back for seconds.
He just can't get over it. Okay, that does it. Pacific Division. Let's run it down. Your number 1.
Edmonton.
Vancouver. Your number 2.
Vancouver.
Edmonton. Your number 3.
Vegas.
Yes. Number 4.
I went LA.
I'm going Seattle. Number 5.
Seattle.
Reluctantly LA. I'd like to put them lower, but I can't, just because the other 3 aren't good enough. Number 6.
Who's San Jose?
I'm going Anaheim. Number 7.
Calgary.
San Jose. Number 8.
Oh my God. I'm just saying what you're saying. Anaheim.
Calgary.
There you go.
Calgary, for me, isn't even like in control of their destiny in that one. It's really like, what do Anaheim and San Jose do? Like, both of them could jump or fall behind Calgary, and Calgary's just going to kind of be what Calgary is.
Yeah,
But-
I'm just in all three teams.
This one's fascinating, though. Like, I think the top three are the top three. After that, dude, you could like throw them all in a hat and pull them out, and I'd be like, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. I mean, I still think LA and Seattle are just notches above the bottom three still, though.
I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying if you told me that either of those teams fell into the bottom three, like, I'm not shocked. Surprised a little, maybe, but like, it's not like blowing my mind.
I think I would land in shocked territory.
Oh, okay.
It's like, dude, those teams stink. And I'm loving San Jose, but they still stink.
What if the Pacific gets the top three picks? I kind of think it could happen.
Yeah.
Also, what's Anaheim going to do? Like, how can they bring in another top three pick?
Well, it'd actually be nice if they did that again this year, though. They could get like fucking Hagen's dude or Porter Martone.
All right, let's hear it then. Who do you think gets the first overall pick? Who is the worst team in the league this year?
I think Anaheim's got a legit chance, dude. Like, I looked at their roster again, and I was like, these guys fucking stink, dude. Other than their players that are all under 25.
Yeah.
24. I don't even know.
No,
And
they got
plus
a couple
Troy Terry.
old.
Plus
they got-
Troy Terry.
No, they got some
Actually-
old balls. They got
Right.
Killorn. They got Strome. That's it.
Judd'z is actually a really good defenseman.
Stop it.
He's good.
Stop it.
I know you don't like to hear that, but he is good.
Don't just say it because other people say it. Oh, Jay
Other people say
Fresh said it, so it's cool now.
Did he say it?
Yeah.
I take it back.
Is that all it takes?
Yeah.
But Jay Fresh actually said that Edmonton would finish ahead of Vancouver. If you want to revise that.
Damn it.
No, man, Hordox. CBJ should get the pick, but Anaheim will probably be the worst team. Chicago will somehow get the first overall pick again for no reason. That's true. I'm saying who's going to finish last, not who's going to get the first overall pick, because Chicago will get the first overall pick. Actually,
They're going to make the playoffs and somehow get the fucking first overall pick. They're just
Yeah.
like, no, we need to do this.
duh.
No one will even notice.
Dude, I feel so bad because, again, I'm on record. I said it before. I stand with the Calgary fans. I feel bad for them. I don't want any more pain. Wouldn't this be the year they get the first overall pick? They bring in James Haggins, and as an American, he's like, yeah, I'm going to do the same thing that Kachuk and Goudreau did.
Jesus. Or no, he's going to do what Adam Fox did to them. I'm not coming.
He's not going to play hockey long enough.
I'm not coming.
He's not going to play college hockey long enough. Sorry. Oh, man. Yeah, Adam Fox. Ugh. Man, it's interesting. Like, where are you at for cup picks? Like, or is there a team that you like aren't as high on in the regular season, but once they make the playoffs, you're like, yeah, I'm all in.
Boston?
Yeah, like Florida for me, but that's like a gimme. I think
I don't know, like, if you consider how my take was on Vegas.
I was gonna say Vegas would be in that category for me. Also, I don't think they make the playoffs, but if the Islanders get in, I don't want to fucking play them.
It's a bunch of mutants running around. I don't know. It's a weird year. I also don't really have one team I'm like comfortably suggesting as like that's my team that I think will win the cup. Like in years past, I've had like two where I'm like, I'm pretty confident that this should be a team that is going to compete for the cup, but I don't know. Like this year, there's definitely a couple, like I said, a couple teams that absolutely stink. But I feel like this is still the closest in terms of like league-wide parity 1-32. This feels like a pretty close compared to years past. Like this feels like a pretty close group, but like the bottom is just fucking terrible, as always.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we just went 3 hours, dude. First time we did that in a long time.
Since the draft? Actually, no. Since the prospect pool recording.
Yeah. I mean, that's always absurd.
My brain was mush by the end of that.
Yeah, what sport are we talking about?
Isha lost his mind on me, so.
He'll be okay.
Let's see what Horror Docs wants. Wild Cup, more realistic Carolina. Dude, I think Carolina could go on a run. This is the year that no one expects it. Carolina over Vegas, the two teams that people are weirdly down on when they shouldn't. And can you imagine a more lopsided like fandom? Like find a scenario where the entire country is against one team. No one is cheering for Vegas besides like direct Vegas fans.
Yeah. That's a fact.
And that douchebag that's playing in the KHL.
Fuck him. Oh. I got nothing left.
Yeah, running on fumes. Appreciate everyone that's tuned in for the duration of this live stream. Any of you that are listening via podcast after the fact,
sorry.
Make sure you check out all of the episodes. We have all 4 division previews broken up. And be sure, if you're a Wild fan, even if you're not a Wild fan, you'll love it. But this week's episode of Fellowship of the Rink featuring Dean Evison, it's going to be awesome. I literally asked him every question I wanted to, with the exception of I toyed with the idea, Z, of having him read Creed Bratton quotes, like just throwing them up on the screen and having him just read them and seeing how that goes. I didn't think he would be down for that, so I just left it be.
Yeah.
But
nagging suspicion.
Other than that, I pretty much asked him everything that I could have wanted to. So it went pretty good.
Check it out.
And there's going to be parts that maybe make people angry. There's going to be parts that people love. It's going to make you feel every emotion. It's going to be great. And it's the perfect way to send you into the season opener against the Blue Jackets. Dude, I absolutely need a tribute video that is just a highlight reel of him beating the fucking wheels off of Darby. Can you imagine if they just got every single time that he punched Darby?
We need it. We need it like we need air.
And then one clip in there that's actually a scene from The Office where Creed's doing one of those like side interviews.
Yeah. The talking head.
And Michael gets his new chair. Pam gets Michael's old chair. When Pam gets Michael's old chair, I get Pam's chair. And I'll have 2 chairs. Only 1 to go.
Only 1 to go.
It's Halloween. That worked out well. Oh, this is bad. What's the best Creed quote? Give me that and then we end it.
Fuck. I can't even. That's too on the spot.
I thought you were a quote guy. All right. This isn't. Tell you what. Because you have to give the quote, and we're not going to get that. I will give, instead of a quote, a verbal meme, which is just the episode of The Office where they have the Olympics because Michael and Dwight are gone, and one of the events in the Olympics is them betting on whether or not Creed will realize that they have swapped his apple out for an onion. He did not realize.
That's A+ stuff.
He did not realize. Oh, all right. Thank you all so much. We will catch you next week. Peace.
Later.